Got to get to the 14.
You got to chip on the edge with Ingram, have him come up on the inside. Some of these guys.
Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo. Davis again. Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back to the end zone. There's Diggs. Caught it for the 2. Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone. He is. Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. And yet there's still plenty of time and 3 timeouts for the Bills. For Josh Allen to go right back and answer again. Could we possibly have 3 lead changes inside the last 2 minutes of a divisional playoff game? No way. No way? Maybe way. From the 19 in 17 seconds. Down the middle to the end zone, and there it is! Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis. Can't believe that defense got beaten up like that. So this here's Hill.
They're going to have a chance.
Kicks.
They'll throw it right away, right now to someone in the middle.
Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime. Looking to the end zone for the win. He caught it. Ball game. Chiefs to the championship game.
Somehow comes out there and shows the world, I'm still here. Andy Reid. Talking to the refs.
Got to get to the 14.
You got to chip on the edge with Ingram, have him come up on the inside. Some of these guys.
Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo. Davis again. Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back to the end zone. There's Diggs. Caught it for the 2. Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone. He is. Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. And yet there's still plenty of time.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to Refball Sports Episode 2. And we have a lot of free agency to cover. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan.
I'm not Ryan.
That is true. He is not Ryan. So yeah, do you want to just dive right on into some big news, because we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a busy last 3 or so days.
Sure has.
So
I remember to turn you on this time before you started talking. So
I appreciate that.
Do we want to talk about the big thing first? TB12. Get it out of the way.
Yeah. Chad Henne re-signed with the Chiefs.
Yes, that is the biggest news.
What, was there something else that happened this week?
I mean, you know me, I'm a simp for my boy Chad Henne, but that's the only news. That's all we got to cover today, right?
Oh, cool. Then we're good. Yeah. That's a wrap. Good show.
But yeah. Let's get the big bad thing. Rip the Band-Aid off. Tom Brady has come out of retirement with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all probably saw it coming.
I just thought it would take a little bit longer, if I'm being honest,
I thought he was going to wait until, minicamp or something.
Yeah. But no. The ongoing joke on Twitter was he spent 2 months with the kids and realized what he was getting into, and it's like, actually...
He doesn't want to be a dad anymore.
Calls Bruce Arians real quick.
He's like, hey, can I come back? So, yeah, Tom Brady coming back. I don't think that was a surprise to really anyone. sadly, we have to deal with another year of Tom Brady.
That's okay. We'll figure it out. I believe the deal that he's coming back on still has 2 years on it. Obviously, it's
I think so.
really like year by year at this point. So
right. But now it's the boy who cried wolf story, where if he retires after this year, it's gonna be like, well, are you really?
He's just gonna Brett Favre us for the next like 5 years, over and over again. Just like, yeah, you know what? I got a little bit more game in me. To be fair,
he's gonna come back and sign with the Jets on a 1-year deal.
We also, God, poor guy, poor Brett Favre that year. Additionally, there is something else we should probably mention with this story, which I think is more interesting than just Tom Brady coming back on its own.
Yeah, go for it.
And that is the $500,000 ball.
Yeah, that poor fool.
Some poor lad bought a $500,000. I don't remember the full number, but over $500,000 for Tom Brady's last game ball. And
it ain't his last game ball anymore.
no, God, no.
Unless he throws 0 touchdowns this year. So, the second thing on our docket here, Matt, Deshaun Watson has been cleared of all criminal charges and is available to test free agency and trade talks.
Yeah, that was late last week that came through. And it's really heated up the last few days in terms of what, the conversations around him and what's going to happen.
And I believe, isn't
down
he
to 4
already,
teams right now.
I was going to say, isn't he already talking with teams for trades?
So right now, it is a very NFC South heavy conversation. We have the Carolina Panthers which
desperately need a quarterback.
They have submitted an offer. And he's met with them. I believe he's met with all 4 teams at this point.
Yeah, the Saints have also met with him. I do know that.
The Saints as well. That's a big one. And then Atlanta has kind of come in.
Atlanta surprises me.
Atlanta snuck in today. I don't know what Atlanta has to offer him, but apparently it was reported only about an hour ago that it's a very competitive thing, and he does not have a clear favorite between the 4 teams right now.
Interesting.
Which is surprising to me because I don't know necessarily what Atlanta offers.
Well, and my
they don't
thing
have
is too is they still have Matt Ryan.
They still have Matt Ryan, who's going to count for about $50 million against their cap already. No matter what, it's too late. It's over. They could trade Matt Ryan and recoup a little bit of that money, but he's still going to cost more.
It's still going to be a heavy hit on their cap, no matter what.
I don't know where they have any money.
Right.
And so they've lost. I mean, they lost Julio Jones last year, which the Titans also lost Julio Jones today.
And Calvin Ridley's on suspension.
Calvin Ridley's gone for the next year. Their running back room's not anything crazy.
Their offensive line is meh.
Like, their offensive line in some areas is like, there's worse offensive lines in the league for sure, but they've had some aging veterans. They had a really good line for such a long time, and as those guys have kind of come off, they've been trying to replace them.
I mean, they do have at least a good young tight end.
I was like, Kyle Pitts, I don't think so far he's been worth the number 4 overall pick.
Yeah, I mean he's not been bad. He hasn't been terrible by any means.
And he definitely seems like more of a big wide receiver than necessarily a tight end in the traditional sense. But we've seen a lot of success. Like Mike Gesicki has had a decent little career so far.
Yeah,
in that sort of role.
I think the biggest problem is if he does go to Atlanta. He's essentially walking into a Houston 2.0.
Yeah, Arthur Blank behind owning that organization does not do him any favors.
No.
Who's their coach right now? Even
Atlanta? I don't even know.
Like, they replaced their coach this year. I'm pretty sure. Arthur Smith. Maybe he was.
Oh, they have Arthur Smith. Oh, interesting. Okay.
No, they retained their coach. So Arthur Smith was the coach last year.
They didn't pull at least they didn't pull a Houston and fire their coach after one season.
Yeah, they.
Like I always say, give a coach 2 to 3 years to really see what they can do.
Absolutely,
because look at Zach Taylor. I was saying that Zach Taylor should have been fired after that second season, because he had 2 really bad seasons in Cincy, and then this year took his team to a Super Bowl. So,
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were definitely a big propellant in that.
Yeah.
And they definitely, I think Cincy overperformed this year.
For sure.
And I don't know about you, but I have them falling back down to earth a little bit. Not to mention their division.
Yeah.
Well,
the AFC North, we'll get into it, but I think the AFC North is a weird division next year.
I mean, I think the AFC North is a weird division every year.
Yeah, that's
true. Speaking of AFC North, though, the last team that has shown interest in Deshaun Watson has created some issues of their own, whether they land him or not.
The Bucks?
And that's the Browns.
Oh, the Browns.
The Browns. I don't know if you've heard about all this going on.
Oh, yeah. We could also talk about Baker Mayfield as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this kind of stemmed off of.
So, yeah, let's talk about Deshaun to the Browns first, and then we'll talk about some Baker.
Yeah, we'll talk about that aspect of it. That's an interesting fit to me.
I think it could work decently. You know, I think it could work as a really well, balanced offense, because they've got the running backs in Cleveland. And they have okay receivers.
As a part of, so they're getting rid of Jarvis Landry. That's official. They got rid of Odell during the season.
Yep.
They have Anthony Schwartz, who's a young guy who I really like.
They also have Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's underrated for sure. They have the 1-2 punch of Bradley Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Although in the Deshaun Watson trade, they said that Kareem Hunt would probably be included in there.
Who's the Browns' current tight end?
David Njoku just re-signed a deal.
See, I think David Njoku is an underrated tight end. I really do. They don't utilize him well enough. And I mean, it's not like they don't have a terrible offensive line by any means. I think they definitely took some steps back in the offensive line room this year, as opposed to the year they made it to the postseason in 2020.
Yeah.
But, I'd still say that they're around a middle of the road offensive line.
There are most certainly much worse teams out there.
Yeah, you could look at the Panthers.
I think of the 4 teams that are interested in Deshaun Watson, if I'm, a prospective quarterback wanting to go into a situation, honestly, they probably rank 3rd.
Yeah.
For me.
I think the Falcons are probably 4th.
Yeah. Falcons, I just don't see a lot going for them that would give me any hope.
I want to hear who you think is the number 1 and number 2.
Based on not just this year, but probably next year, the year after that, I think Carolina's probably the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
I think the Saints this year have a more talented roster. But their cap situation, they were already at negative $40 million at one point this offseason, where they've had to make serious cuts, serious restructuring. And, restructures, I don't know if every NFL fan realizes this, but this money's just not just usually disappearing. It's getting kicked down the road.
Yeah.
Now, if they can kick it down the road to 2024, the cap's supposed to boom then. But until we get to that point, it's still going to be an issue.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Carolina is the best fit for multiple reasons. First of all, they're still keeping with Matt Rule, and Deshaun could really help Matt Rule keep his job. Assuming that they can address the offensive line issues, but at the same time, Carolina has good offensive weapons. You've got Robbie Anderson, who I still think is a good wide receiver. He just wasn't targeted much last season.
I think Robbie Anderson, if he's your number 2, you're in a really good spot.
He's at yeah.
He's in that like
who's
pseudo
their number 1 right now? Is it
DJ Moore?
DJ Moore? Okay, yeah. So like they've got weapons.
Yeah, I mean,
and like you said, the Saints
still have
the Saints would be
Christian McCaffrey.
screwed. Well, assuming that CMC stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But the Saints, I definitely think he would be a good fit, but the cap casualties they'd be a bit rough for the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Saints are if money weren't an issue, the Saints would easily be the number 1.
Yeah, because you got Michael Thomas and guys like them and Alvin Kamara. Like, it'd be a great team.
Michael Thomas, assuming they don't move on from him.
True.
Alvin Kamara he was kind of beaten up this last year, but he's still like an electric player who makes a huge difference when he's out on the field.
Yeah.
It's also like, I mean, it's interesting that 3 of the teams are in on this, are all from the same division, and frankly, the 4th team, if Tom Brady didn't, come back,
I think
might
Tampa
also be in this.
Yeah, no, if Tampa didn't have Tom Brady come out of retirement, Tampa, I honestly would say, would be a real big contender, considering they have a strong offensive line, they've got incredible offensive weapons, and they have a sturdy defense.
And somehow, some way, they have a decent amount of cap space. Not a ton, but like compared to like, the Saints.
Not to mention too, they also have a good running game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of, did Leonard Fournette sign anywhere? Well, we'll get into all the
yeah, I'm not
stuff
sure.
later.
Do we want to briefly mention Baker Mayfield?
Yes, I do want to talk about it.
Here, I'll pull up his tweet.
Yes.
Here's his tweet that he gave us. Here, let me move us a little bit. We're gonna be off stage for a minute just so people can read it. Actually, you know what? I can read it. So his message said, Cleveland, the past 4 years have been nothing short of truly life-changing since I heard my name called into the draft to go to Cleveland. This is not a message with hidden meaning. This is strictly to thank the city of Cleveland for embracing my family and me. We've made many memories and shared growing in this process through all the ups and downs. I have no clue what happens next, which is the meaning behind the silence I have had during the duration of this process. I can only control what I can, which is trusting in God's plan throughout this process. And then where's his second? I have given this franchise everything I have. That is something that I've always done at every stage and at every level. And that will not change wherever I make my next snap. Whatever happens, I just want to say thank you to the fans who truly embraced who I am and the mentality that aligns so well with this city's hardworking people. Cleveland will always be a part of Emily and my story, and we will always be thankful for the impact that it has had and will have in our lives. Sincerely, Baker Reagan Mayfield. To be honest, it sounded like he was writing a letter about his ex or something. Is what it sounded like to me.
Yes, he explicitly says this is not a message with hidden meaning.
Right.
And there's 2 ways to interpret that. Of course, we're going to interpret a hidden meaning out of it either way. But at the end of the day, I don't read this and have any confidence that he has any confidence that he's going to be back in that building next year.
No. I mean, he is recovering from a really, really big surgery, so. Listen,
I'll be completely honest. I do not like Baker Mayfield.
I have not liked. He has good commercials.
Yes. I don't like the way he carries himself, though. I don't like the way he presents himself.
He's got an ego. He has an ego.
Yes. And like there's a Baker Mayfield cycle. I'll try to send it to you. You can throw it up.
Sure.
But the Baker Mayfield cycle, I think, is a very real thing. Here we go. Yeah. I don't know the best way for you to put that up. Oh, that's just the link again.
I'll figure out a way.
Here we go. Do that one. But that being said, Baker Mayfield deserves better treatment than what he's getting currently from the Browns. They're flirting with the QB, and he should absolutely be pissed. Like, you know, in a year where he was battling injury, a year after he got the Cleveland Browns their first win as a franchise in the postseason. He battled a very serious injury that people don't give enough credit for what it is. Yeah. And you know what? He still had an 8-9 record in a very tough division. Now, would I say he was directly responsible for all those wins? God, no.
He definitely struggled, and that injury, I think because it was a torn rotator cuff, if I'm correct, wasn't it?
Yes. So I'm gonna also link you to this tweet. This is very, very short ago. Bobby Strope, local guy, talks a lot about NFL and stuff, but he focuses on a lot of health. But he specifically mentions it's a very significant injury that it literally alters the vision that he has, due to how the tension in his neck and through his shoulder all connects to his nerves, because that shit's all connected, and it quite literally harms his vision.
Yeah, that's a good tweet. I agree with that. I agree as well. I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan. I've never liked Baker. He's a decent football player. I mean, before his injury, I mean, he was right around a little bit above the middle of the pack of quarterbacks. Do I think he was worth a number 1 overall pick? No. I think he's a solid quarterback, though. He's not bad by any means. He can definitely elevate your franchise to be a much more stable platform. But absolutely. I know this is gonna be contradictory to what I say about Alex Smith. But I see him as more of an Alex Smith type character, where he's gonna be labeled as more of a game manager than he is as a risk taker.
I think that he falls slightly above what was formerly known as the Andy Dalton line.
Yeah.
I feel that he's
not bad. He's kind of like he's like a Jimmy Garoppolo kind of.
Yeah, which I think those two are both looking as. I mean, if I were a team.
Browns just trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, and 49ers trade for Baker Mayfield. Make it happen.
I think that at this point, he's worth more than Jimmy G. Now, I like the physical talents of Jimmy G. I think are better, but as far as age and everything is concerned, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield right now if I'm building a franchise than I would Jimmy G, because Jimmy G is 6 years older than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's right on the verge of the early 30s era.
Baker Mayfield is going to be 27. Actually, I didn't realize that he's going to be 27 this upcoming season.
And Jimmy's in his 30s, isn't he?
He is 30. So okay. I mean, there's a 3-year difference. Jimmy Garoppolo has been a consistently above average quarterback since he took the starting job.
Yeah.
It's mostly about him being healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
Which staying healthy ages a quarter. Very quickly.
Yeah.
Overall, I could see Baker going to the Colts somehow. That'd be a good fit. I also think Jimmy G to the Colts just makes too much sense. But, like, that's where the Colts should really.
You know, I could also see Jimmy G or Baker to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, give some competition to good old Danny Dime.
I think either of those, you plug them into that system, and it's not a competition with Danny Dimes, you know.
But his 5th-year option.
Yeah, like they're both fighting for starting jobs in the NFL.
But who knows? Maybe this is the year that Danny Dimes comes out and has a 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown season and has an undefeated record with the Giants.
I mean, he won't, but maybe.
there's a little bit of a chance, but
I think ultimately though this situation ends with Baker Mayfield on a different team next year.
Yeah.
With Deshaun Watson not on the Browns next year, and the Browns having successfully browned their way back into not having a quarterback.
Back into the factory of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, a lot of people are saying that there's not a lot of great quarterbacks in this draft, but with all the QB moves that are going on, I think the Browns is a good team for one of those quarterbacks to go to. Because they're at least a decently built team at the moment. They've still got a strong defense. They've got a good running game. 2 things that are very important for young quarterbacks. The only thing that they will have to address is they need to get receiver help. Because they've still got a pretty decent O-line. If they can stay healthy.
I agree. That being said, though, we have
move on to our next topic.
Yeah, we have so much to cover. I'm surprised I had that much to say about Baker Mayfield.
I know.
But,
so the next thing that I have here on our rundown, Matt, is something that's going to make every single AFC West team cry. Khalil Mack to the LA Chargers, making Raiders fans, Broncos fans, and Chiefs fans audibly sigh. Because I think that is a great move for the Chargers, and it scares me.
Free agency is not done. The draft is not done. However, assuming the Chargers don't charge her, they have once again put together the best roster in the AFC West. Now, a lot has to go together to do that, and I still think there is a quarterback gap between Herbert, as much as he's impressed, as there is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
but
I do think that Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback. I would put Justin Herbert in the top 10.
I'd put Justin Herbert.
Especially
probably
with
6th.
Yeah, I'd put him just outside of top 5 because he has really improved from last year to this year and really shown what he can do.
So off the cuff, my list goes this way: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
That's it. There's only 3 quarterbacks.
There's only 3.
I don't want to say Tom Brady, but it might be Tom Brady.
No. Not even. He's in my top 10, not in my top 5.
Listen, I don't want to say that stats are everything, but 43-12 at age 44.
But you also have to look at the roster.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, and
he has a lot of talent on that
That's why
roster.
I don't want to put Joe Burrow up there. I mean, it might be Herbert at 4 for me, honestly. Actually, I feel more comfortable saying Herbert at 4 and then Tom Brady at 5.
Say my top 5. We're getting a little off track here. We'll get back to the Khalil Mack, but
yeah.
My top 5: Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers. I'd probably say Watson at 4. I know that's a bit of a hot take.
Depending.
And then at number 5, obviously Kirk Cousins. No. Number 5 would probably be Honestly, I'd probably say Russell Wilson at number 5.
Russell Wilson, I have a little bit lower. I have faith that, and especially in
You
Denver,
just
he'll
have
do
him
really
lower
well.
because you have a love-hate relationship with him right now.
It's more hate right now, but I do love him.
All right, so back to
if you're rooting against the Broncos. Anyway,
back to the Khalil Mack trade. This is a terrifying move because at one side you got Joey Bosa, and then on the other side you got Khalil Mack now. That's a scary defensive line right there.
yeah, absolutely. I am not looking forward to seeing that twice a year.
And we said last week that we had some slight concerns about Trey Smith. Or Lucas Niang, not Trey Smith. Lucas Niang.
I was like, Trey Smith's a god. What are you talking about?
No, he's not the blindside tackle. He's the...
No, he's the right tackle.
Yeah.
It's Orlando on the left side.
Yeah. But, I mean, assuming that Lucas Niang can improve, going up against one of the best outside linebackers, though, that's going to be a tall challenge for any lineman. And I think that it's gonna really test the Chiefs' O-line this year.
Absolutely.
And there's always one way that you know that a trade is good, especially if it's against a rival team. You know it's a good trade if you absolutely hate it, and I do.
Mm-hmm. I loathe that trade. That's some of the worst shit.
What did Chicago get in return for it?
Chicago, it was almost nothing.
Which, I mean, I understand why Chicago is doing it. They're probably trying to shed the cap and restart, essentially.
Yeah, it was overdue. It was a 2nd round pick and a 6th round pick.
Yeah, that's not.
It was
much.
It was a 6th round pick next year, so it has even less value.
I was about to say, if it was a 2nd and a 6th this year, it's an okay trade, but a 6th for next year, ooh. Chicago got shafted, I think, a little there.
I know that he's older.
He's older for sure.
I don't know how you traded for him only like 3 years ago.
Yeah, with the Raiders.
For 2 first-round picks. For two first-round picks, which, by the way, neither are on the roster of the Raiders anymore. You traded him for 2 first-round picks, and then in return you get a 2nd and a future 6th. That doesn't really track with me.
No.
Because if
like
nothing else, he's continued to show.
I guess he played in this year.
He played in 7 games this year. I don't know if you know this. He played in 7 games. He had 6 sacks still.
Yeah, and he was still, like, because he got injured there, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Khalil Mack, even up there in age, is still one of the best edge rushers, for sure.
This just in. I know we're still getting into... we're going to get into free agency here in a moment. But Chris Godwin and the Bucs have reached a deal. According to Adam Schefter, Bucs franchise player Chris Godwin has reached an agreement on a 3-year, $60 million deal with $40 million guaranteed fully.
My lord! I mean, good for him. He deserves that money, but jeez.
Yeah, $20 million a year. Like,
I mean, he deserves it. He's a good receiver.
And he'll honestly perfect for him. 3 years from now, the cap is going to be huge, and he will be a free agent again at age 29.
Hey Matt, here you go. It's your boy. It's your buddy.
Get that shit off my screen.
Blinged out in all orange.
I saw that earlier, and I clenched my fist. I was at the. Have you seen that like GIF of like a child sitting there and his hands down there and his fist just goes? Yeah, that was me.
So
that was me. I saw that while I was out at dinner tonight.
Khalil Mack, great move by the Chargers. It makes your defensive line terrifyingly good, and it makes me nervous. Makes me nervous facing the Chargers.
Absolutely. And we can go ahead. And I think it's probably time we just go ahead and start diving right into.
I got one more trade.
You got one more?
I got one more trade. It's not a huge trade, but Amari Cooper.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened since last week. God, so much has happened.
I know.
Since Like we had 7 days in a row of just crazy shit happening.
Dallas got shafted.
Leading up to free agency when even more crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, Dallas got shafted on this deal.
It was a salary dump through and through.
Yeah.
And honestly, Amari Cooper's the only reason.
They traded him for what? A 5th round pick?
I think it's a conditional 6th that could turn into a 5th, I think.
Which is like who did they trade him to? Was it the
Browns?
The Browns?
Which is partially why they released him.
Which is just like, that's a whew.
Okay, so no, it was Amari Cooper and a 6th round pick for the Browns 2022 5th round pick and a 6th round pick. So they swapped 6th and it was for a 5th, which is absolutely a salary.
Yeah, because Amari Cooper is absolutely worth more than a 5th round pick.
And like it also made it so that Jarvis Landry was expendable to them and they could cut him and release him. But I mean, I think we've seen in the modern NFL that having one weapon in is not enough.
No, you need to have 2 or 3.
You need to have 2 or 3 quality weapons and a running game. Because I
mean, look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs, we've got like 2 big weapons in the receiving game: Hill and Kelce. And even those 2, it was still a struggle in some games.
I think overall you need at least 3 things going for you, maybe 4, but 3 things minimum. You need it can come from anywhere in terms of outside of your quarterback. You need to have the guy at quarterback, but you need 3 major skill playmakers. So for the Chiefs in our prime, Sammy Watkins when he was healthy.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, Kelce,
and then
all
you
together.
You also add in a dual threat running back of Damian Williams.
I was going to say, in our best year too, one of our legendary offensive year, we also had Kareem Hunt in the mix.
Yep.
With those.
I keep forgetting that Kareem Hunt is with the Browns. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, which like I mentioned earlier, he might not be later, but
true. Chiefs,
because he's been rumored. He's been rumored to be in the trade package that they've made for Deshaun Watson. So,
but what do you think this is? I mean, aside from a salary dump, do you think this is an ultimately terrible move for Dallas? I mean, because you still have CeeDee Lamb and you still have I just lost his name.
They re-signed Michael Gallup to like a 5-year mega deal.
Yeah. And Michael Gallup is a good receiver.
Oh yeah, I was all over the please sign Michael Gallup, Brett Veach trade.
And then did they re-sign their tight end or did they release him? Did they release Dalton Schultz?
They re-signed Schultz,
which by the way, Dalton Schultz,
and they cut the other one.
I'm gonna just throw up a picture. For anyone who doesn't know what Dalton Schultz looks like, the dude is the definition of a maverick. If my images will load. Okay, come on. Because I believe, doesn't he have a pretty dope... I could have sworn I saw him recently that he had like a really dope mustache. I want to see if I can find that image.
That'd be beautiful. But no, they re-signed Schultz to a big deal, and then they released Jarwin, who's also like a really solid tight end. I think overall, I mean, the Cowboys had their best roster they've had in years last year. On paper, I mean, since Dak and Zeke's rookie campaign, it's been their best roster, and they came up short because, and I don't want to put it all on Mike McCarthy, but it was Mike McCarthy's fault.
For sure. And then there's one other thing that I have here in the rundown before we get into some big free agent signings. My second favorite team, made one of the stupidest moves. Matt,
What
you
cousin?
you had your little mini rant last week. I'm gonna go on a little mini rant.
It's your turn.
Or this week.
Go ham, dude.
The
Pretend I'm not
Minnesota
even here. This is your-
Vikings have extended Kirk Cousins to a 1-year, $35 million contract. Tell me how Kirk Cousins is worth $35 million. He's
Well, he's worth a
not.
lot more because you guys have already paid him a lot of money.
Shush. We don't talk about that 2-year, $80 million deal. But I feel like the Vikings are refusing to acknowledge that quarterback is a position of need. I mean, it's not a dire need by any means. Like, Kirk Cousins is decent. You know, he's going to make your team better when he's on the team. But he is not $35 million worth. Like, I'm sorry, he's on the same caliber as like a Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield. Like, he's decent. He's not the end-all be-all, and he's not going to take your team to a championship. There are some games where he looks great, and there are some games where it's just like, what in the hell are you doing? Like, one game he'll have 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and no picks and like 70% completion. The next game he'll have like 90 yards, 0 touchdowns, 5 picks, and like an accuracy of like 55%. And it infuriates me because that's his biggest flaw is consistency. And that's what you need in a quarterback.
So let's take a look at his year real quick. I know numbers aren't the end all be all. Looking at the numbers, so let me before I read these numbers, I completely agree that Kirk Cousins is not worth it.
He's not worth $35 million.
But Kirk Cousins had 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. He had a 103.1 passer rating, 66% completion rating.
Is those
his completion rating went down.
Those 7 interceptions came in crucial games.
Yeah, so like his overall stats are good. But I mean, I think so. I'm going to pull this up to compare.
I'm willing to give Cousins the benefit of the doubt because a lot of mistakes weren't necessarily on him. I think that a lot of mistakes that the Vikings made was because of Mike Zimmer. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and, you know, I don't think they should have extended him to that much money. Like, if it was like a 1-year, like, $20 million deal, I'd have been like, okay, you know. But $35 million, like, you're talking about he's getting paid like a top 5 QB. And he is not worth that money. Like, he's getting paid almost as much as Russell Wilson and all them right now.
By the numbers, this last year, this is kind of mind-blowing. Again, this is purely by the numbers, so take it with a grain of salt. He had a better season than Phillip Rivers had in his entire career last year.
Well, that's not really saying a whole lot.
I know it's not saying a lot, but the thing is that outside of throwing, you know, like Phillip Rivers, I wanted to compare them because Phillip Rivers also had an issue with throwing like untimely interceptions where like he was a decently good quarterback, but then just sometimes he'd make the most boneheaded decisions. I wanted to compare the numbers.
I feel that that's what Kirk Cousins kind of is, though, is Phillip Rivers. Like, he is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Kirk Cousins is a terrible QB, but he's like a Phillip Rivers. When he throws picks, sure, he doesn't throw a ton in the season, but they're at really crucial moments of really crucial games. And that's the infuriating part. Is the Vikings will be leading by like a touchdown or a field goal, and then he'll throw a pick 6, and it's game over.
Yeah, so the other part to go with that, so he has like pretty good like overall numbers. He has pretty low interception numbers.
Yeah.
A much more conservative quarterback, Alex Smith. Alex Smith's best season, I don't know if you know this, he only had 26 touchdown passes. It was his last one with the Chiefs. He had 26 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions. And he cracked 4,000 yards, which was, super impressive.
Yeah.
For our golden boy Alex Smith. Obviously, very different styles of games, but I just wanted to give those numbers like kind of context.
Yeah. And I want to give Kirk Cousins a chance. I do, but just it's the $35 million that really gets to me. That's the biggest issue.
It's a combination of the big number and the lack of clutch ability.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong too, like I think Kirk Cousins is a good team is a good player with a good team. I think the biggest flaw the Vikings have is last year they really only had 1, maybe 2 targets. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. And then of course you got Dalvin Cook, but who else really was there? I mean, they got rid of Kyle Rudolph, their stud tight end. And yeah, I mean, their offensive line was not good. And the Vikings defense last year was one of the worst in the league. It was not a good defense. So, I mean, I want to say the Vikings are going to do decent. And I want to believe Kirk Cousins, but he needs to give me a reason to believe in him. And that's really all I have to say on Kirk Cousins. Like, I don't think it's a terrible move. It's just overpaid.
So I'll say this. I had my rant last week about the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yours about. It's frustrating for the Vikings because you guys have a very talented team.
They do.
The Seahawks also have we're missing talent in a lot of key areas, but we have assets and resources to get those back. All of you have Justin Jefferson on a rookie deal. Mm-hmm. You have Dalvin Cook on a
pretty nice contract extension.
A pretty nice little contract. I mean, I think it's a pretty good deal for both sides.
Yeah, and I mean he works well with this scheme. I want him to take that next step and be the true leader of the team. If you're gonna be paid like a big player, you need to play like one.
Yeah. And so I think one consideration that is that the Seahawks have had the hard reset button. And I feel more optimistic that the Seahawks will be a winning franchise in 3 years than I think that the Vikings will. Just because I know you guys are going to be stuck there.
It's
for
like
a hot minute.
It's like the Vikings are doing a Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben. They're accepting mediocrity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Your boy Logan stopped by.
Oh, hey, what's up, Logan? Good to see you. No worries, man. Have a good day at work, and thank you for dropping by. So do you wanna jump into some free agency stuff?
Yes.
I know the first one that I want to talk about, and it involves it involves the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really? We talk about
Mitch kissing titties.
Holy shit. Yeah, our good boy Mitch. So, if it's okay if I start this one,
yeah, go for it.
Because I feel like we have different opinions on this.
Oh,
I don't know.
we
haven't really talked. We haven't talked like specific stuff this last week. Like compared to last week, we talked a little bit more going into it.
Right.
Maybe we did.
We talked more on Discord than we did like in a Discord call.
Yeah, and that's just spring break.
Yeah.
There's worse Morse, this is a pretty much one of the best situations for Mitchell Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming in. I still believe fully that the Steelers are going to draft Malik Willis or Kenny Smallhands Pinkett, and like give him a year or two to develop, and then give him the reins. They signed Mitch Trubisky to a 2-year deal. I think at the end of the day, I think it's a decent spot. They have a talented young roster. They've got, a few holes they definitely need to fill. But I think, and maybe we did talk about this, but this is Mitchell Trubisky's last chance. Absolutely. I think he's in a better spot than he ever was in Chicago. He's on a team that went to the playoffs last year with a lot of the same players under contract. No major turnover. They got a young Pat Freiermuth. I don't know how much you watched the Steelers last year. Pat Freiermuth is a damn good player.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
And I'm excited to see how he keeps it up and keeps going. But
and Najee Harris looked solid. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Najee Harris looked really good. I hated how they used him, where they at the end of games absolutely just let him run himself into the ground, into the dirt. But I think honestly, Pittsburgh's probably the best situation he could have landed in this offseason. I think any QB that went to Pittsburgh would come in and have at least middling success at the very least. Pittsburgh, I think, is anywhere between a 6-win team and a 10-win team next year. And like that, 6 wins is not good in the NFL, but 6 wins is hard. God awful teams do not get 6 wins.
This is true. Look at the Jets and Jaguars.
Yeah.
And the Lions.
Poverty franchises. The Seattle Seahawks next year do not get 6 wins. So
my take on it is I think Pittsburgh made a pretty smart move here, because looking at the quarterback free agency class, not very many options. Not to mention not many options that have starting level experience. So I think I do agree. I think they do still go after a quarterback in the draft, like either in the first or second round. I think what it'll end up being is likely going to be a situation where Mitch Trubisky is going to be given a chance, at least for this next season, to be a starter. And, I really want to see him succeed. I want to see him succeed in this role in Pittsburgh, because he's coming into a team that has a good opportunity. Their offensive line is still kind of up and down, but they've got receivers, they have a running game, and they have a defense. So it's a good situation for Trubisky, because and the other big thing is he's not going to be hindered by Matt Nagy. He's got a decent head coach in Mike Tomlin. Now, I say decent because Tomlin has also made some pretty stupid coaching decisions. But I do think Mike Tomlin is at least a decent coach. So I think he's coming into a decent situation here. And I think what they're going to use him as is kind of like a Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith sort of a deal, where Smith in his last year with Kansas City was mentoring Patrick Mahomes and teaching him the ropes of the NFL. I think that's what they're going to do, like if they draft Kenny Pickett or any of the other young rookie QBs that come out of this draft class. I think they're going to wait with those guys, give them a year to develop in the league, and, going behind Mitch Trubisky, I know he's not been the greatest quarterback, but he has starting level experience, and that is very valuable. So, he can be a really good mentor to those younger guys. And then if they want to keep him for another year, and just have a quarterback battle and see who wins out. So, I don't see the Steelers getting more than like 9 wins this year. I think they're about anywhere from 7 to 9. I think they're going to be decent. I don't think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be terrible.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't have a ton of faith, but we do. I think the world forgets, mostly because of the memes of the last year or so of Mitchell Trubisky. But he has shown flashes in his career. There have been moments where he looks like the number 2 overall pick.
I'm hoping that this is kind of a Ryan Tannehill scenario, where he was hindered by a really bad coach, but is able to revive his career. I'm hoping that's what happens with Trubisky, because I like Mitch Trubisky. I think he's a cool dude and a nice guy. I think he can succeed, but he just has to be with the right team and the right offense.
I agree.
So some other big trade or some big free agency news. Matt, you got anything?
Well, I figured we could just I guess we can start with the AFC North and just kind of work our way around.
Sure.
Finishing up with the Steelers. Steelers weren't that busy. They re-signed Miles Kilbrew. He's a pretty good player.
Yep.
Couple guys that I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with. The only other name that's of really any interest is Dwayne Haskins, and they just retained him for, a $2.5 million deal.
You're also
keep him around,
You said James Daniels, right?
James Daniels as well. I meant to mention. I don't know if I did. James Daniels is a good re-sign.
Signing
that's a pretty decent deal.
Offensive guard signing a 3-year, $26.5 million. Good payday for him.
Yeah, and he's a starting caliber. It's a good deal for them. It's a good deal for him.
But yeah, like you said, a lot of smaller names on that as well.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and jump.
I guess Okorafor as well, starting offensive tackle as well. Also.
Yeah, Okorafor. I can't.
He's okay.
I can't say I'm super familiar with him. I know James Daniels is really good.
He's not a very highly known player unless you're like a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
But he's a solid offensive tackle. He was one of the bright spots. Him and James Daniels were really the big bright spots on their O-line. The rest of it was kind of a bit rough.
And a lot of it was retaining people.
Yeah.
For the Steelers so far.
So
and free agency still ongoing.
Want to talk some Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland made some interesting moves. So we talked about Amari Cooper earlier.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite signings. It's because I love this guy. If being in the AFC North, you probably hate him from last year. Jakeem Grant. I am a Jakeem Grant stan. And 3 years, $13.8 million. I would absolutely take it. I mean, he's mostly a return specialist.
Yeah.
But God, is he good at it. And I mean, I'm one of those people. Some people, are like, returners are a dime a dozen. A lot of them are. But you have special talents, though. Jakeem Grant, Devin Hester. Obviously, he's not quite to Devin Hester's,
And I mean,
caliber yet, but
who was the guy that the Rams? Who was the guy that the Rams brought in?
Tavon Austin. Tavon Austin was great for a long time. I mean, the human joystick.
Well, you're also forgetting my lovely Vikings return player who was really good on special teams. Percy Harvin.
Oh, duh. So funnily enough, I fell out of following the NFL for a few years. Pretty much for I didn't really start following the NFL as a whole until about 2000.
But Percy Harvin was a Seahawk for a year.
Yes. Yes, that was a year. That was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
2014, I think it was.
He decided to leave. Actually, no. The Seahawks traded for him, and he went and won a Super Bowl ring, and I felt so sad.
I mean, good for Harvin, though.
Yeah, good for Harvin.
Harvin was a stud. But I love Jakeem Grant. I really value returners a lot more than I think.
I don't really have any hatred towards Jakeem Grant. I don't have any hatred towards him.
I know Packers fans hate him because he had 3 returns against them.
Yeah.
Over the last couple years, so.
I mean, I understood why he left. He wanted to get money, and I can't blame him for that.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, their wide receiver core is not bad, if not a little young and raw.
And who knows? Even now with Jarvis Landry gone, it's possible Jakeem Grant can take a slot position and start getting some reps as a starter.
Mm-hmm. And he's not a crazy good wide receiver by any means. He's definitely more of a return guy.
Yeah,
you're signing him for his return ability, but he does have some value on an offense. And I think Miami was doing a good job utilizing him, and then he went to Chicago, and I think offensively he kind of took a step back. But,
yeah. So
that said,
David Njoku receiving the franchise tag.
That's what it was. So I thought he got a deal. I know they're negotiating.
Yeah, they're working on one.
Because I'm sure they don't want that. I don't know what the cap hit is for a tight end on a franchise tag right now, but I'm sure they don't want to be paying
it's like 16
top 5 money.
It's I think it's like 16 mil.
Really?
Sure. Let me look.
Yeah, I like David Njoku a lot. He's a nice young guy. They were talking about trading him at one point, especially when they got Austin Hooper on the team, who they just cut the other day.
Sorry, I'm looking at the franchise tag for tight ends.
I was letting you look. But David Njoku, I'm a big fan of. So I mean, he deserves some money for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of said a little bit of my piece on it earlier. I like David Njoku. I think he's a very underrated tight end. He's big, he's physical, and a solid blocking tight end. Blocking tight ends and receiving tight ends in one player is not common.
I mean,
you've got a few.
He's not as big, obviously, as Antonio Gates is or was.
Right.
But he has a lot of the same skill set that was kind of shown toward the end of Gates' career, where he will go up and get the ball.
Okay.
He's got pretty good hands, and he'll block pretty well.
So it says here by Sportscasting, it says Njoku signed a 1-year franchise tag worth $10.9 million.
10.9, okay. So that's a bit more reasonable. I mean, I'm sure they want to get a short-term deal done, probably 3 years, starting out at $8 million per or something like that. Yeah. Probably reasonable for him.
And I mean, I think he deserves it. They just need to utilize him more, I feel. So up next with the Browns, let's see, Anthony Walker re-signed, as well as Tavon Bryan.
Yeah, those are solid little deals. Anthony Walker's a decent player. Tavon Bryan, I can't say that I'm super familiar with.
He wasn't. I don't think he was a starter.
Yeah, but I mean, 1-year deal worth $5 million, that's a decent investment for.
It's good to have solid backups. I will say that, especially if the Browns go through another season where they are riddled with injuries.
And and he's a defensive tackle, a rotational piece at defensive tackle, cannot be underrated.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the trade with the Patriots. Chase Winovich.
I was about to say that's a rare
pretty...
player.
Patriots are not
player
known
for player trade.
I was going to say Patriots don't usually trade players away.
Chase Winovich, though, he's a good player. Going to the last year of his contract.
He's also up there in age. Oh, he's still young. Okay, I thought he was up there.
Yeah, no, it's he's still on his rookie deal. He's going to the last year of his rookie deal.
A different player.
But I mean, I think there was another Winovich, honestly, a few years back. But I mean, he's a good player. Traded from Mack Wilson, who was a starter for the Browns. He wasn't anything special, but he was starting caliber player. So
yeah,
just kind of going in a different direction. It seems like for their defense. I mean, it's a good move for at least the Browns, I think.
Yeah,
bolstering
the defense is always a good thing.
I like Winovich a lot more than I like Mack Wilson. So
yeah. So, everyone's favorite, the Cincinnati Bengals,
Great.
Alex Kappa, offensive guard, signing a 4-year, $35 million, including a $20 million over the first 2-year potential. And he also, if he makes the Pro Bowl, will get a $1 million bonus.
I think
it's a pretty nice contract.
It's a pretty good contract for a above average starting guard.
Yeah.
For a team that desperately needs offensive line.
Absolutely.
Their season every year, they are a playoff caliber team whose season is decided by whether they let their quarterback die or not.
Yeah.
Because even last year, he was sacked the most of any player in the league.
Even when they had Andy Dalton, they could have made the postseason if they just had an offensive line. BJ
so
Hill.
That's a good move.
BJ Hill is a big
Ted
one.
Karras is also a good pickup.
I'm not too familiar with Ted Karras, to be honest.
He's a solid starter. He was a guard for New England. I think they wanted him to be a tackle.
So he's a multi-position player on the O-line.
He's like a Wiley. What we're going to end up using Wiley for, which who by the way we re-signed. We'll get into.
Yeah.
But BJ Hill, that's a good deal. It sucks that Ogunjobi got away for them.
Yeah.
Chiefs, but BJ Hill,
let's get him. Let's get Ogunjobi. Let's get him, Chiefs.
No, he's with the Bears now, actually.
Damn.
Yeah, he was one of the earliest signings, one of the first signings announced on Monday.
So this is, I think, one of the biggest moves the Bengals did. Franchise tagging Jesse Bates, their safety.
That's huge.
Jesse Bates had a really good year last year.
God, I wanted Jesse Bates so bad, and he kind of struggled early.
Did he win Defensive Player of the Year last year?
Jesse Bates?
Yeah.
No.
He should have.
No.
I think he should have. He had a really good year.
I believe, if I remember correctly, T.J. Watt.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
T.J. Record.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But Jesse Bates, that's a huge retaining. They're working toward a long-term deal. I'm sure they get it, because why would you let him out of the building?
Yeah.
There's just no reason.
Yeah, he's one of the better safeties in the league right now, and yeah.
A lot of Chiefs fans, when we were talking about Tyrann Mathieu leaving, they were like, "We should get Jesse Bates. We should get Jesse Bates." And I'm like, "Jesse Bates isn't fucking available."
I was going to say
don't pretend like Jesse Bates is available.
And then some smaller deals are re-signing their defensive back Michael Thomas and re-signing their long snapper Clark Harris.
Yo, shout out long snappers.
There's your long snapper.
We re-signed our long snapper.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about it last week. You can watch the VOD. Long snappers are something great.
Everyone's favorite team, the Lamar Jackson Ravens.
They have not had as many signings,
but they've made some big ones.
These are all big ones, I would say.
First one,
we'll start with the smallest one.
Yep. Go for it.
Morgan Moses, perfectly adequate offensive tackle, position they've needed to fill. Now that Villanueva has retired,
and Orlando Brown is gone too.
Orlando Brown was traded, so they just need another guy in that room.
And he's a good fit for the team. He's a run blocking offensive lineman, which really is what they need considering their offensive scheme. So good pickup there, bringing in Morgan Moses.
And then, the move that pissed me off.
Same for me, because I'm a Vikings fan and I hate this guy.
So Darius fucking Smith signing a 4-year, $35 million deal, max value of $50 million with incentives. It's a really good contract for the Baltimore Ravens in terms of value.
And it pisses me off because he was damn good with the Vikings, and now he's with the Ravens.
Darius Smith.
Or he was good with the Packers. Sorry, Packers.
Yes. The only knock against him, the reason why it's more incentive laden than most deals you would see for a player of his caliber, is he did have back surgery, I believe, at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, he suffered with injury.
A little banged up.
And the signing that I did not want to see.
Yeah,
but I think is probably the biggest contract so far signed, at least in terms of defensive backs.
Among defensive backs, for sure.
Marcus Williams, the safety, signing a 5-year, $70 million contract with a $37 million guarantee.
Yeah, this contract
that's
will
a
keep him
great
locked up
signing.
until he's 30.
That is a really, really good signing for the Ravens.
So Marcus Williams is a top shelf safety in this league. Absolutely worth every penny. You know, it was a very costly contract, but like it's honestly, depending on how it's broken down, if I remember correctly, it's pretty friendly for the first few years.
Yeah, it's a backloaded contract.
Yeah, which I mean you're gonna see. That's the story of this offseason.
Yeah.
The two things is if you aren't signing a backloaded longer contract, you're signing a 3-year deal is the thing for this, because you want to hit free agency. A lot of agents are trying to get their people to hit free agency 3 years from now when the cap just goes absolutely nuts.
Yeah, because you could get a huge contract then. So do we want to go north, south, east, west?
You know, let's stay vertical. Let's go down south.
Okay. So AFC South. Let's start off with everyone's favorite, Houston Texans, who kicked the crap out of the Chargers and made me happy. They have a lot of smaller contracts, I feel.
Yeah. So I'd say we can start at the top, because the biggest one I think is the very last one.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not massive.
So quarterback Jeff Driscoll, former Denver Bronco, re-signs on a 1-year contract. So, good for him. Good for him. Running back Dare Ogunbowale. Very interesting name.
A name that I heard for the first time just a moment ago.
2-year, 3.3 mil.
The contract that I have the most to say about.
Oh, this next one, I'll let you say it.
I don't know if you know this about me. Probably not. Chris Conley is one of my favorite players in the NFL.
I have a very different opinion on Chris Conley.
Chris Conley, the person, is one of my favorite people
okay.
in the NFL. I guess I should say. As a player, he has a lot of gifts.
He's
never really been able to translate to the next level.
So he's an Albert Wilson.
Yeah, like he got broken off in his last year. He was at Patrick Mahomes' wedding over the weekend.
He also played in Jacksonville for a couple seasons too.
Mm-hmm. He is also a Twitch streamer.
I did know that.
Big Star Wars fan. He made a film back because he was drafted out of Georgia in the 3rd round by the Chiefs. He made a short film, like the year before he was drafted. It was Star Wars themed. It was beautiful. It's pretty short, pretty enjoyable. Recommend it. Decent effects, but he's an absolute nerd. Plays League of Legends. What was he doing not that long ago?
I like him as a person. As a player, he infuriated me.
Yeah, and so Chris Conley, he's a really cool dude. He's a great leader. He is an underwhelming player. I think is a fair sentiment to share.
Yeah.
But
For
I mean,
sure.
1 year, $2 million, like, you know,
I'm happy for him.
You'll never see a guy so low on the depth chart be such a good locker room. And so
you're forgetting something as well there. It's a $750,000 guarantee on his contract as well.
Yeah, which I mean, a lot of these smaller deals don't necessarily have guarantees at all.
Right.
But I think that's literally like $2 million. I think is a fair 1 year contract. The guarantee is like hey, you are a leader. We want to make you happy, keep you here.
Yeah.
Here, we'll put our money where our mouth is. Guaranteed $750 million or $750,000.
These next ones, kind of smaller contracts. Tight end Pharaoh Brown, which is a really cool name.
Yeah, he's a person.
Signing a 1 year contract for up to $4 million. Nice little signing for him. I'm assuming he's probably like a 2nd or 3rd string tight end, probably a number 2. A lot of offensive linemen here getting re-signed. Offensive tackles Cedric Ogbui signs.
They really
1 year.
love names that start with OG and have a B in them.
They really do. Offensive line Justin Britt. And,
oh, what the fuck? There's another one coming up. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And another, a really good one. Oh, I see which one you're talking about. Offensive lineman who is a starter, AJ Cann. I think this is a good move. I think it's a good move. You know, I think he still has room for growth. Because he's not terrible. He's not a bad offensive lineman. But he definitely has not reached his potential. So I think this is a good investment. You know, 2-year, $10.5 million, $4.5 million guaranteed. It's a good deal. I just want to see him continue to progress. Do you want to take the next couple ones here?
Sure. Malik Collins. He's re-signing with them. He's a nice, solid run-stopping defensive tackle. Big old nose tackle type. 2-year, $17 million, $8.5 million guaranteed.
That's a nice guarantee.
You know, it's a nice guarantee. It's a good little contract.
It's half his salary.
I think looking at this, you'll kind of notice they're really keeping a few young guys around that they want to develop.
Yeah.
And then a lot of quick fixes they're just holding on to as they continue this rebuild process that they're in. Blake Cashman. I can't say I know who that is, but they traded him for
not familiar.
For a 6th-round pick next year, which is a 2nd-round pick away from being Khalil Mack's worth. So that's interesting.
I'll take this next one because I have some thoughts on this next player.
Oh yeah, you know a lot more about him than I do.
Linebacker Christian Kirksey. He re-signs a 2-year contract for $10 million with a $4 million guarantee. Christian Kirksey. How do I say it? He's underwhelming heavily. Last year he did have a rebound year, which I was happy to see. I think this could be a good deal for him. I think that last year is hopefully a sign of good things to come for Christian Kirksey, but he definitely had a very, very slow start in the league. I'm hoping that this is the start of something new for him and his career can really kick off here because he's mid to late 20s, I believe. So
he is 29.
Yeah. So, I mean, he still has a few years left in the league, and I hope that he ends his career on a strong note rather than going out with a whimper. So, I think it's an okay move, but if this first year goes wrong for them, it's going to look like a terrible deal.
And like the $4 million guaranteed is probably all in the first year.
More than likely.
Hopefully, I mean, there's probably still an out next year.
You've made me take all the hard ones.
I know. I was about to say. I have to do the next one because it's only fair. Ogbo Okoro. Whoa.
Here,
with
I'll
all the details
pull
Tom Pelissero provided, which is agreed to terms on a contract. So, you know,
here, that's the
probably
name. Ogbo
probably a great deal.
Okoronkwo, I think is how you say it.
God,
an interesting last name. It's a cool last name.
Sports Illustrated says he could be a steal for the Texans. But we don't know how much we're paying him, so it could be a $60 million contract for 1 year. In which case it's not a good deal.
I doubt it. Although the Texans have done stupider things before, so...
Listen, if he's a man of God, Jack Easterby will sign him for however long he wants.
That's true. Yeah, you want to take this next one, and I'll take the one leading up to our last one.
Sure. Terence Brooks signed another $1 million or a 1 year, $2 million deal. He's a decent player. You might recognize his name. He's kind of bounced around the league a little bit.
He's a journeyman.
Yeah, like a decent rotational piece.
Kind of like he's kind of like a Dan Sorensen.
Yeah, he's in that tier where like you don't sign him to fix your problem. You sign him to be like, all right, well, we need a third safety on third down.
Yeah, he's a decent depth piece.
Terence Brooks out.
So our second to last one here for Houston is safety Mj Stewart, signing a 1 year, $3 million contract. Mj Stewart, not a terrible player. We'll see what he can do. I don't know if he'll be a starter or not, but we'll see. And I'll let you take the big one.
He has 1 sack. He has forced a fumble. He has 2 interceptions in his career. Kind of traveled around early on. Not bad. Last guy is Desmond King, signing a 2-year, $7 million deal. That seems really cheap for a guy like him.
Nice pickup there.
I think it's a value pickup. He's never been like a crazy good player, but he's been at worst serviceable his entire career.
Yeah.
And like 2 years, $7 million. I just assume he just for some reason didn't have any market whatsoever. If you can get him for the price,
right. The Indianapolis Colts, again, kind of similar to the Colts. A lot of small deals, aside from one that was acquired in a trade.
Yes, that's a much bigger one. Mo Alley Cox.
Yep.
I could speak on briefly. I like Mo Alley Cox a lot.
I think he has a cool name.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you remember him first.
Yeah.
I think so. If I remember correctly, he's kind of struggled with drops in his career.
Yeah.
He's been one of those guys, but when he's on, he's on, and like, he's only 28 years old.
Somewhere around
tight ends, he has some time to develop stuff. So like 3-year, $18 million. Keep him around the organization for a bit.
If he has an Antonio Gates type career, he has a very long career left ahead of him.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's a big boy. 6'5", 267. Like he's
solid blocking tight end for sure.
Mm-hmm. So he could be solid. He's a solid little guy.
Offensive tackle Matt Pryor, re-signing to a 1-year, $5.5 million, with a max value of $6 million with incentives. Honestly, a good re-signing piece there because the Colts, they do need help at O-line. So
especially with Eric Fisher
keep some of your players that are there. Matt Pryor, he's young. At least I believe, if I'm thinking of the correct Matt Pryor, let me look.
He's 27 years old.
Yeah, so
only been in the league 3 years though.
Decently young for an offensive lineman. So I think it's a good signing for the most part. I don't think he's definitely not going to break the banks. He's also not going to outperform, I don't think, in a huge way. But a solid place. Up next, Tyquan Lewis signs a 1-year, $3 million deal, defensive end. Can't say that I'm too familiar with Tyquan Lewis. So,
same.
But I'll let you say the big move the Colts made.
Yeah. So, this was announced earlier today. Raiders traded away Yannick Ngakoue for Rock Ya-Sin, and it was early reported that Rock Ya-Sin was a part of the deal. It's now kind of been reported that that's the entire deal,
which is a terrible trade in my opinion.
Which way? Because
for the Raiders, I feel.
So yeah, I think Rock Ya-Sin. I'll pull up his stats here to make sure I'm not completely off base. But like, he is a young player.
Yeah. Well,
who,
yeah.
Like,
only
is
25.
He is probably going to always find a team. I was interested in us signing him, drafting him way back in the day. We did not. We instead drafted Mecole Hardman, and we can have that conversation later.
The big problem
again.
The big problem that I see with him is he has never been a starter.
No, he's always been a rotational piece. Nickel corner, if I remember correctly, is like the only spot that he's gotten any real consistent time in.
That right there is why I think it's a terrible trade. Because you're not getting a starter out of it.
But here's the thing, is that you're trading Yannick Ngakoue, who is 26 years old.
He's had a rough career, but I still think he's worth more than a rotational piece.
Yannick Ngakoue has 55.5 sacks in his career.
It's just like
He's only 1 year older than Rock Ya-Sin.
Mike McDaniel is really doing a good job of keeping the Raiders the laughingstock of the AFC West.
Yeah,
This is a terrible move for the Raiders.
and the other thing too is that I do think, and we'll get into Chandler Jones here later.
Yeah.
But essentially, they sign Chandler Jones and instantly ship off Yannick Ngakoue for Rock Ya-Sin.
Yeah.
This is definitely a deal that favors the Colts. And then as far as like...
And not getting any draft picks out of it is just like...
Yannick Ngakoue...
like at least get
versus
a
Rock Ya-Sin and Chandler Jones, I think it still leans Yannick Ngakoue in terms of like just pure value, because it's a big contract they signed Chandler Jones in. Chandler Jones is 33. He's been a consistent force in the league, but he's 33.
Right.
And you sign him to like a 3-year deal, something like that. We'll get into it later. But and you just re-sign Max Crosby to a big money deal.
Yep.
And you still have a little bit of money from Yannick Ngakoue on the books that you have to pay. I mean, Raiders gonna Raider, I guess. I don't know.
It's not a good move for the Raiders. And then some other smaller contracts. Zaire Franklin, linebacker, re-signing with the Colts. We don't have many details on it at the moment. And then Brandon Faison agrees to a 1-year deal with the Colts. So
don't have much information there either.
He's a decent rotational piece, I think.
Let's skip Jags real quick.
Let's skip.
Let's knock out the Titans real quick.
Okay.
And we'll come back to the Jags because
Jags have made some real good deals.
They made some deals.
Their cap is gonna cry in a couple of years.
But Tennessee, briefly going over, they didn't do a ton of big stuff.
Mostly just retaining a couple players.
Yeah, and like retaining is important.
There's one standout deal though.
Yeah. So Jeff Swam, decent player, 1 year, $3.5 million guarantee, with all but $100,000, which is a workout bonus, is fully guaranteed. So like,
nice.
Guarantee yourself some money.
Yeah, guarantee $3.4 million. Not a bad move.
Ben Jones, their center, re-signing a $7 million per.
Decent contract.
Harold Landry,
the big one.
That one was announced, I think, quite literally right after we went off the air last week.
It was. It was like an hour after we went off the air.
Because that was a huge extension. Because we were talking. He got hit with the franchise tag shortly before.
Yeah,
like just completely locked him up.
We briefly touched it.
And when we were first doing preparation for the show, I had him on my list of people that I wanted the Chiefs to sign. And then I had to take him off the list because he was no longer available. And then they re-signed him to a 5-year deal, so there was like no way he's going in. So, but 5 years, almost $90 million with 52.5 guaranteed. Like that's
well deserved too. Harold Landry is a phenomenal player.
I think so. So far, that's the biggest defensive contract.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal and well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And then your boy, long snapper Morgan Cock, agrees to a 1-year extension.
Yo, shout out to long snappers, man.
Dude, these long snappers, they're getting them contracts this year. Good, you'd love to see it. Okay, so Jacksonville, as your fiance says, the Jacksonville Jets.
Yeah. Fuck it, they have planes there, don't they?
They're basically acting like the Jets right now.
They're the Jets South.
And
then when they move to London, they'll be the Jets East. So.
They'll be the European Jets. The Jags throwing a lot of money against the wall, trying to see if something sticks. A lot of big contracts here. Not sure if they're all well deserved, but let's start breaking it down. First up, wide receiver Zay Jones signs a 3-year, $24 million contract with a max of $30 million.
So this is going to be an ongoing theme. Zay Jones, decent player.
Yeah.
Contract, a little much.
Little bit.
Like, he's young. He could prove to be worth it for sure. Like he's 26 years old.
Trent Baalke got Shahid Khan's credit card and is going on a shopping spree.
Pretty much. Zay Jones is fine.
You want to talk this one?
Zay Jones is 5 years in the league.
Mm-hmm.
A rotational piece consistently. Has never scored a touchdown in the NFL.
Nope. $24 million for a guy who's never caught a touchdown.
Don't get me wrong. There's other ways to contribute to a team.
But
and
still, that's...
His yardage... his yardage has never gone over 650. 652 is the most yards he's put up. He doesn't even have 2,000 yards in his career.
Nope.
I take back what I said.
This is not a good contract.
Zay Jones, I already was like, it's not a great contract, but like, he's young, maybe he can show. This is an awful contract. And we're not even to the worst contract that Jags have signed.
No, not even.
However, I will say that I am more optimistic about this next guy developing.
Yep. I'll let you take the floor on this one.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at the wrong number. I thought he also hadn't caught a touchdown. Zay Jones has 11 touchdowns in his career. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at rushing touchdowns. But he's never ran one in. But
he's not a Tyreek Hill bad receiver.
Bad, poor, boo. Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's 24?
He was 25. He was a Cardinal, correct?
He was, yes. He was drafted by the Cardinals. He played all 4 years of his contract with the Cardinals.
A guy that I really enjoyed. I think he is a athletic player.
Christian Kirk is if Christian Kirk is your number 3, I think you're in a really good spot.
Really good spot, yeah.
If he's your number 2, you want to look, okay, well, find an upgrade maybe. But like, if he's your number 2, he's your number 2.
If he's your number 1,
and if you're paying him like a number 1,
yeah.
4 years, $72 million, $37 million guaranteed, max value $84 million.
It's a large contract.
$18 million a year. So like, the per year is about like what you'd pay a low end number 1.
Yeah.
It's what we paid, I think, Tyreek Hill last year, which, like, don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill had his own issues, which is why he was getting paid that number. But Tyreek Hill's worth a lot more than that, which is why he's about to get an extension. Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's fine. I like him. I don't like him $18 million a year.
That would let me put it into perspective. This would be like the Kansas City Chiefs re-signing Mecole Hardman to a 4-year, $72 million contract. I don't think Hardman is worth that money. Just like I don't think Christian Kirk
Hardman's
is worth
not
that
worth
money.
that. Hardman's not worth that. I'm wondering who I'd rather pay that money to.
Sammy
Probably
Watkins.
I'd probably rather pay Kirk over Mecole.
Yeah, probably.
Just because Kirk's more of like a straightforward receiver. But
yeah,
I mean,
he works well as a slot receiver. I feel that's his best strength.
But like, I don't know. I think upside wise, Mecole has a higher floor or a higher ceiling. Christian Kirk just has a higher floor.
Yeah.
And you don't pay guys
to have a high
number
ceiling.
1 money to have a high floor.
Right.
Or have an average floor, like an above average floor.
And this next one makes me laugh quite a bit. The Jags sign tight end Evan Stone Cold Hands Ingram to a 1-year deal.
They're just cold dead hands at this point.
Evan Ingram, not a bad tight end to start his career. Since his first season, though, has not been a good tight end.
Ryan, I was at work the other day. I was talking to one of these guys at work. He's a food runner at the restaurant I work at. He's a Giants fan.
Okay.
Not his number 1 team, his number 2 team. And I approached him and I said, "Hey, what do you think?"
I don't think the Giants are anyone's number 1 team, but go on.
God, I hope not. Evan Ingram. I said, "What do you think of Evan Ingram?" Like, just because from an outsider perspective, it's a lot easier to be like, "Well, this guy's a lot of upside. He has a fatal flaw, but a lot of upside," and have like that's my opinion on him. And I'm like, "What do you think of him?" And he described him as a double amputee. He's like his legs work great. Just the rest of them, it needs a little shaping up, which is definitely cruel. But I think it kind of underscores we don't have details on this contract yet, and he's a guy that you always are like. I think a lot of teams will look at for his entire career and say, I could change him. My team is the team that will make Evan Ingram work. It's the Carson Wentz effect.
It's not even the Carson Wentz effect. It's the girlfriend that thinks they can change the abusive guy.
You can't change him. You can't fix Evan Ingram. Not current.
He needs
change.
He needs to do some soul searching and work on himself. Here you go. Cam Robinson receiving the franchise tag. Honestly, this one makes sense.
Yeah, good job. Good job, Jacksonville.
Cam Robinson, good offensive lineman. I think it's the right move, franchise tagging him to work out a deal.
Yeah, you get one good move, Jacksonville. Honestly, I'd say there's also one that's a decent deal.
Is it this next one?
It is this next one.
Okay.
Brandon Sheriff, $3 million. Basically $50 million.
Oh shoot! We have a raid. Drunken, thank you so much for the raid.
Oh, what's up?
Were you streaming some Apex? More than likely.
Brandon Sheriff. He's a solid player. He's a good player.
Yep.
Coming over from Washington. $33 million in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
$16.5 million a year for the first 2 years. But I don't. And maybe they're just like, okay, so in a few years we're gonna have to pay. Not Carson Wentz. Lawrence some money.
Yeah.
But like, the way it's structured.
I just realized I don't have alerts on this stream. I'll have to fix that at some point.
So he's gonna get paid $16.5 million his last year of his deal, which like at that point will be considered cost controlled. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for the first 2 years, I hate that contract. He's a above average player. He's 30 years old. He's been a good player, but I don't know if I make that deal. Oh, Mad Matt TV as well.
Oh shoot!
Thanks for the raid. Jeez, everyone's coming over right now.
We're popular today. Here, I'll just put it. I'll throw in a basic alert box here. There we go.
Yay.
But yeah, I agree. Not a bad guard. Not sure if he's worth that kind of money.
Yeah, there's only one guy on here that I'm like, I 100% am on board with this, and it's Cam Robinson. It's because they don't have a real deal in place yet. And so I can't see what awful contract they'll probably give him. It'll probably be like $25 million a year for 50 years.
There you go. Here's a more calm contract. Offensive lineman Tyler Shatley re-signs a 2-year, $6.8 million contract with $2.35 guaranteed. Not bad.
Is he their starter? He's a center, it looks like.
Yeah,
was he their starter last year?
He might be their starting center.
So I'm going to tell you, I actively avoid the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they're on my TV, I will turn off the TV if I can't find something else to watch.
Completely understandable.
He is a backup.
Oh, he's a backup. Okay.
That's right. Brandon Linder is their starter.
Okay, so that's a little much for a backup.
I mean, I think that's a theme here. I assume, and this is completely talking out of my ass, so don't give me any credit at all. I assume he's got some versatility.
More than likely,
he probably played like guard or something. So like,
I mean,
they
would
a little
probably
bit extra for that.
If he was only an offensive center, I'm sure they'd probably specify.
Yeah, most teams don't even employ a backup center on their team, so
not usually.
They just have like a guard who's like, all right, you have some practice and snaps, so we'll let you go.
So this next contract, Matt, I don't know. This one confuses me quite a bit. Defensive tackle Foley Fatukasi. A 3-year, $30 million contract with a $20 million guarantee. I can't say that I'm familiar with Foley.
You don't want to call him Fatasuki?
It sounds like I'm insulting him if I do.
Fatukasi?
Fatukasi.
I want to look up his stats.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with who he is.
I'm completely with you. I do not recognize that name at all.
And
that's a lot of money for someone that you just found out existed. So he had he had 46 combined tackles, 25 solo.
Oof. That's a bit rough. For that much money, only having that many sacks, that's a
And so I looked at the sacks and I'm like, okay, he had 3 sacks in his entire career. Okay, maybe he's more of a run stopper type.
Yeah.
So we look at those numbers.
And it's not good.
He had a better year than Derek Nottie did, just barely.
And that's not saying much.
Like, Derek Nottie is fine. I like Derek Nottie. I would be perfectly fine if...
Give the guy credit. He started in 15 games last year.
Derek Nottie's also not a full-time starter, and he would never get that kind of money. Derek Nottie is a first, maybe second down guy.
This is a terrible, absolutely terrible move for Jacksonville.
I think this
$30 million with $20 million guaranteed for a guy who's got 3 career sacks.
It's not quite Zay Jones, and it's not quite Christian Kirk. But it's
holy Lord.
If this were on its own, I'd be like, what are you guys doing?
Like, you're
not even done yet.
Yeah, no, we still got 2 more contracts to go over here. I'll let you take this next one.
Neither of which I love.
No, these are both bad deals.
Foye Olukun, 3 years, $45 million, so 15 per. $28 million fully guaranteed, which is a good chunk of change.
They are throwing
value at only 46.
They are throwing a lot of guaranteed money, is what I'm realizing here.
Yeah, they are. I'm telling you, if they have to move on from any of these, they're going to be fucked.
They're going to be screwed.
So, Foye Olukun, I know I'm going to have to verify that this is who.
Okay, let me look him up.
We're going through a lot of names here, so I apologize.
Oh, he's a Falcon. Okay.
He was a Falcon.
Can't say that I'm
pretty sure.
Let's see his stats.
So, looking at how the Cardinals feel.
Okay.
Or not the Cardinals, the Falcons feel.
He's another player that's only gotten 5 career sacks.
Falcons Twitter was surprised at how much he got paid. Happy for him, but surprised.
I mean, at least in comparison, the last 2 seasons, this guy, Olukun, is that how you say?
Olukun, I believe.
I mean, give him credit. Last 2 seasons, he's been a full-time starter, and has decent tackle rate. Like he's a solid tackle rate.
Yeah, I would accept that in a heartbeat.
And I mean, for inside linebacker, sacks aren't all that important to be an inside linebacker. And this is a pretty decent stat right here. 5 interceptions across 2 starting seasons as an inside linebacker. not a bad stat.
I think this is a deal that I think he could definitely go in and surprise us.
He's not a bad player.
He's a young player.
He's just overpriced. He's being overpaid.
And I think, and I'm going to just keep trying to assume that Trent Baalke has any idea what he's doing.
I don't think he does, though.
And, I'm more than happy to be wrong about like all these contracts because, like, Jacksonville.
I hope to God we look back on this and we just look like we're complete idiots and all these contracts are going to work great.
Legitimately, I hope so. Otherwise,
I don't have a good feeling about these.
Trent Baalke does not have the track record for me to give him the benefit of it.
No.
By any means.
Not in any way.
But I think that's a good signing.
It's a decent
pricey.
It's a little pricey.
The best signings they have are Cam Robinson, who they don't even have a full-time deal with, and a guy who is
not fully Fadakasi.
A slightly above average starter, I would say, that they kind of overpaid. Like,
what about this next contract?
None of these. So that's the other thing is none of these players, aside from maybe Evan Ingram, are bad.
They're just not worth the money they're getting paid.
Yeah. And then Darius Williams,
cornerback.
Kind of a.
But let's see his stats.
Not a full-time starter.
3 years.
He's not a full-time starter. He's not worth $10 million a year.
So $10 million a year, no. I'm noticing a theme. Not worth it.
Not worth the money that you paid. Jacksonville, get your money back.
Jacksonville,
is there a lemon law?
You need to stop.
Is there a lemon law with these contracts? Can you just like take them back to the dealership and be like, "Nah, I want to try out that one."
Right. But yeah,
Jesus Christ, Jacksonville.
Not a great deal. So moving on to the AFC East, we'll go north, south, east, west. Want to kickstart it with the good old the Buffalo Bills? Bills
be busy.
They've made unlike the Jags, the Bills have actually made some good moves.
Yes. So we'll start with the really basic one.
A player that I like,
Jake Kumaro.
I really like Jake Kumaro.
I think he's a great rotational piece, above average player. Been in the league for a little bit. Not any information on his deal.
Nope.
Isaiah McKenzie. That's a
this is a good deal.
2 year,
this is
million.
A really, really, really good deal.
That's honestly a steal.
The way he played in the back half of the season, huge.
I am a big fan of Isaiah McKinley. McKenzie.
McKinley.
McKinley. I'm just gonna pronounce everyone's name wrong after seeing all those O's and B's all thrown together.
I know.
I don't know how to pronounce anything anymore. Isaiah McKenzie is a very good player, and $4 million per is a hell of a deal. So good on him.
This next one, I'll take these next two here.
Sure.
Tight end OJ Howard agrees to a 1-year deal. OJ Howard, decent tight end.
Above average tight end, I would say, in the league.
We don't have any information on him, but good on him signing with the Bills. Happy for him. And then offensive guard Roger Saffold, not a very well known player, I would say, as an offensive guard. He's spent a lot of time with the Titans. He's been pretty good with the Titans, I believe.
Yeah, he's been, if I remember right,
because he's a longtime veteran.
He's average. He's stuck around forever. It's like
he's been a starter he's been a starter his whole career. So I think he's a solid piece to the team.
He's good enough to start. He's not,
Yeah, again,
he's not like
we don't
Nelson or something, but
we don't have any information on his contract.
Trey Smith. But.
And then here you go, Matt. Former Chief.
I do love me some Mitch Morris. Mitch Morris, 2-year, $19.5 million extension, $12 million guaranteed. And then they increased his pay this year. They gave him a bit of a pay bump,
which I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single person in KC who has any ill will toward Mitch Morris. He was a damn good player for his career.
Fantastic.
The only issue that he dealt with is that he
Was drafted
got a lot
by
of concussions.
Oh. I thought you were
He
gonna
got a
say-
lot of concussions. His contract came up. We didn't have a ton of money. We just
Was
let him
he-
walk.
Was he the one? No, he wasn't. That was Schwartz. I was going to say he wasn't the one that was drafted by Cleveland, was he? But no, that was Schwartz.
No. We drafted Mitch Morris, I want to say second round.
Probably.
And he played above his pedigree, got paid by Buffalo. And he's been really healthy. He's been pretty healthy with Buffalo for the most part. So, good on him. I'm happy he's getting some money, got a pay bump.
Yeah. I'll let you take this next one. I mean, not a whole lot to say on this one, I don't think, because not a lot of details are known.
Mitch Morris is also our Rodney Hudson replacement way back in the day.
True.
Which, big shoes to fill. Daquan Jones, 2-year contract, no information.
So I'm
he's
assuming
been a
does
decent player.
When it says team, what the hell does that even mean?
I presume that means that the team announced it. So,
okay.
Like Sizzy and Rappaport, Tom Pelissero.
I got you.
The team announced that he signed a 2-year contract. No details.
So the next,
rotational piece.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say on Daquan Jones, really.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle Tim Settle agrees with a 2-year contract for $9 million with a max value of 10.6. Can't say that I'm also familiar with Tim Settle.
I can actually talk on Tim Settle very briefly. I like Tim Settle.
I need to
think
see.
2 years.
He was a football team player. Okay.
Yeah, he played for the football team. He was a football player.
He certainly was.
I think 2 years, $9 million is a pretty good value for a guy who has done well in limited snaps.
Okay.
He played out his rookie contract and he has only had seven sacks. He only has 2 starts though. So like he's a young guy.
I got you.
On a cheap contract that could potentially, he has some upside, I think. So,
now the massive contract.
This was announced earlier today. I was sitting. So, my good buddy Six.
I bet he was
check him out. He's streaming later tonight. I was sitting at his bar when this was announced.
Six is a Broncos fan, by the way, for those who are unaware.
He swore up and down that Von Miller was coming back.
Yes, he did.
So it only felt a little bad to tell him that wasn't happening.
I bet I don't think he was probably mad. He was probably just soul crushed.
Well, he was a little upset, and then I said the number, and he said, "Oh, good for him," and then he moved on. But 6 years, $120 million guaranteed, which is a $20 million a year per.
Sorry, no, $51 million guaranteed.
$51 million guaranteed. But it's $17.5 million through the first 4 years. Oh, it does actually say that right here. I had that pulled up on a separate thing because I figured it didn't say it.
The thing that's bizarre is that at the end of his contract, that would put him at 38 years old.
So here's the question. 4 years from now, is Von Miller still in the league? Not because he wouldn't necessarily be able to contribute, but because he's getting older and his body's kind of deteriorating.
I think that he could. I mean, look at Justin Houston. Justin Houston's still kicking it. So
Justin Houston stuck around. Terrell Suggs stuck around. Yeah. I think end of career he could look like Terrell Suggs.
What age was Tom Bahali when he retired? He was like mid-30s, wasn't he?
Tom Bahali was up there. Tom Bahali is currently 38. So actually he wasn't that old.
So he was like 36. Because it was 2 years ago that he retired, if I'm remembering correctly, wasn't it?
That was longer than that.
It was 2018, I thought, wasn't it?
He technically retired in 2018, but he was released in the 2017 season and never signed with anyone else.
Yeah. Okay.
So
this is the interesting thing. Von Miller, I think, is a dangerous weapon for Buffalo. And you're taking a defense that already was a pretty strong defense and just making it even better. I think this is a huge deal for Buffalo.
You had a signature pass rusher.
Yep.
Von Miller has
because I mean, you look at their defensive backs are really good. You've got Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker, Matt Milano. That's a stacked defense right there.
Von Miller has 115.5
career
sacks in his career.
Pretty good.
A pretty damn good player. 2015 Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
Like he is,
and a three-time Super Bowl champion.
Yes. 3? 2.
Didn't he win 2 with Denver?
Denver won 1 in the 90s and then 1 in the 2010s. They lost the first one they went into.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he's got 2 champions, but still.
To what team? What team did they lose to?
Some Russell Wilson.
Just Seattle Seahawks defense, really. Let's be honest.
Legion Boom.
And Marshawn Lynch. Don't never forget Marshawn Lynch.
Skittle Man.
I fucking love him. Anyway, honestly though, I think it's a big number that jumps out on the page.
Yeah.
But like the way it's structured, I think makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely backloaded in the last 2 years. That like bolsters the whole contract, and I think he'll absolutely be worth that in the long run.
It's a matter of will he want to keep playing at that point?
Yeah, it's more so like, hey, we have the rights to you for the next few years.
Yeah. And, the last contract that the Buffalo Bills made is a cornerback, Saron Neal. Resigns a 3-year max deal contract of $10.9 million. Saron Neal, solid rotational piece there.
Yeah, he's not bad. Never been a starter. Finished out his rookie deal.
I think he's a decent re-signing. They clearly see something with him, so.
And I mean, for just like, $3.5 million a year.
And want to talk about the team that disappointed? Miami.
Oof.
Miami Dolphins making some decent moves though, making some pretty decent moves. Starting out, I'm happy. I'm really happy about this first signing. Teddy Bridgewater signs a 1-year, $6.5 million fully guaranteed deal with up to $10 million in incentives. I'm happy for him.
I think that's Teddy. A really good landing spot.
But the question is now, who's the starter? Is it going to be Teddy Bridgewater, or is it going to be Tua?
I, without a doubt in my mind, think that it's going to be Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1, it will be Tua.
By the end of the season,
to a full season of Tua.
I was going to say,
I think week 1
end of the season,
everything they've done this offseason, as the franchise is like they tried to get out a few years ago. They tried to get out early. They flirted with getting rid of Tua, but now they've kind of as a franchise have publicly doubled down on Tua a few times. I think that they are pretty committed at this point. At least to see out his rookie contract.
I agree.
Tua,
he showed some flashes last year. He showed that he progressed.
And he improved over the year.
Yeah.
This next one, to convince ownership that he should stick around.
This next contract, I'm very happy about.
Oh, that is a good one.
Running back Chase Edmonds. Yeah, I think it was either yesterday or today. Chase Edmonds, former Arizona Cardinal and former Pittsburgh Steeler, agrees to a 2-year, $12.6 million contract with a $6.1 million guarantee. Absolutely amazing running back and is going to succeed very well in Miami.
Chase Edmonds, I feel like, is probably the most Dolphins signing.
I'm correct. He was a Steeler, right?
He was a Steeler.
Okay.
They have the Edmonds brothers.
Yeah. Because he was the one that came in and filled in for.
Oh no.
Am I thinking of someone?
He's only been with the Cardinals.
That's right. I'm thinking of the guy from the Steelers during the Le'Veon Bell saga. That whole
James Conner.
Yeah, James
Conner's
Conner.
also
is
also. With the
But still,
Cardinals.
Chase Edmonds, good running back.
He's a damn good player.
I think
Like,
the
he's
reason
not-
the reason that the Cardinals let him go was because of James Conner.
I mean, James Conner showed to be worth the money.
And I'm happy to see Chase Edmonds in Miami. I think he's going to do decent.
Yeah, I like that. Another running back that I'm excited that they signed, Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is a guy I really like. He's definitely a north-south speed guy who like hits the gap and outruns everybody.
His biggest downside is injury.
Yeah, he is.
He's a McKissick. Really good running back, struggles with injury.
Which, going back to Buffalo, McKissick originally signed a deal with Buffalo, which I think would have made them really scary on offense.
Oh yeah.
And then he reneged and went back to the football team. But I think Raheem Mostert is definitely in that vein where when he's healthy, he is a potentially game-changing running back.
Absolutely.
I think it's very similar to what we saw with Kansas City and Jerick McKinnon toward the end of the except with even more speed and potential.
Yeah. And here's your next one that's gonna make you upset.
At least he didn't sign with a team that I'm worried. Alec Ingold.
At least he didn't sign with the Seahawks.
And I know he's a fullback, but 2 years, $7.5 million feels kind of cheap.
Yeah, considering that he's a huge utility player. Now, will the Miami Dolphins utilize Alec Ingold?
Maybe they will.
Because the Raiders used him a lot, and he was good. So I think it's a good signing for Miami. Preston Williams, wide receiver Preston Williams, re-signs a 1-year deal up to $1.99 million because they didn't want to give him that extra $10,000.
You can't commit to that extra little bit.
$2 million? Oh no, that's too much. But
1.99, I like that number.
backup wide receiver, not terrible. Keep some of your depth.
Keep some of your depth going. Yeah. Speaking of depth,
this one's a bit of a head scratcher to me. Wide receiver Cedric Wilson signs a 3-year, $22.8 million contract with a 12.75 fully guarantee.
So,
it's a slight overpay, I feel.
Yeah. Cedric Wilson is fine. He played decently well toward the end of last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he played well against Baltimore.
Yeah, he kind of came in onto his own. I know Amari Cooper was banged up at parts of this year, and so Cedric Wilson had to step up a little bit. And he showed, he
showed
could be
potential.
a decent number 3.
Yeah, he showed potential. I don't know if he's worth $22.8 million.
I was going to say, 22.8 over 3 years.
Especially after he hasn't been a starter for a full season, it's a bit of a risky deal.
A little over 7.5 million a year, like that doesn't seem. That seems like an overpay for a guy that
for a number 3, potentially number
3?
4.
I mean, because he's not taking snaps away from Jalen Waddle. He's not taking snaps away from our next guy, Mike Gesicki, who is played as a slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Preston Williams, I think he'll be lower. He'll be higher on the depth chart than Preston Williams, absolutely for sure. But
yeah,
I just don't see the value in that deal.
It's an overpay for sure. You want to take this next one?
Sure. Holy shit! I drank a whole cup of coffee and I'm still.
We still have a long way to go, buddy.
Yeah, I know. We might have to make the NFC a bit shorter. Just hit the highlights.
Maybe.
So Gesicki, franchise tagged. You said that was like 10 point something million?
10.9 million.
10.9. I mean, Gesicki has shown flashes. Like I said, he's definitely a receiver. He is not really a tight end at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In the traditional sense. He's not built like a tight end in the traditional sense. I think 10.9 million is a little bit much. So I think they're really hoping to get a deal done. But yeah, I mean, he's too fast to put a linebacker on, but he's like not fast enough that you really want to not good enough that you want to put like a cornerback on.
Right.
He's really
a
like a size
scheme.
mismatch.
Yeah. Let's see. Connor Williams, offensive guard, signs a 2-year, $14 million contract with a $7.5 million guarantee. Not bad.
Yeah.
Here's your boy.
God. So this is actually my fiance Celeste, one of her favorite players. If she told me that if he re-signed a contract with the Chiefs, the offseason we let him walk and he went to Miami, that she would have bought an Emmanuel Ogbah jersey because she loves Ogbah for whatever reason. Also another OGB name, but not that hard. But our boy got paid 4 years, $65.4 million.
Had a good year. He had a real good
getting
year.
Getting paid a little over 16 a year for the first 2 years.
This is.
I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a nice payday right there for the first two.
And
then some small ones.
Yeah, a couple little ones. Duke Riley, Ilian and Roberts, both 1 year, $3 million, $3.25 million.
Yeah.
Smaller deals.
I don't even want to cover this team. The New England Patriots.
I mean,
I hate him.
We can hit this one pretty quick.
I hate
Brian
Patriots.
Hoyer, 2-year deal, no details. Backup quarterback for Mac Jones.
James White
he exists.
James White, 2-year extension, $5 million, with a $500,000 contract guarantee.
He is one of 100,000 receiving running backs that have gone through the Patriots organization in my lifetime.
Honestly, James White, I think he got underpaid. I think he's worth more than the 2 years that he's getting here for $5 million.
Yeah, I think he's probably worth more than that.
But I also think he understands that he's with a really good team.
He's with a team that knows how to utilize his talents, and he could sign probably a bigger deal with like a Jacksonville or something like that, but he wouldn't be utilized well, and then he'd probably be out of the league, just like that.
Yeah.
Sticking around with the Patriots, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's 30 years old, he's a running back, he's not going to be in the league much longer anyway, but like he's comfortable there, he's safe, he's going to get his snaps.
Oh yeah. Offensive guard / center James Fuentes re-signs with New England. Don't have any details. Here you go. The trade where they traded away Chase Winovich for Mac Wilson.
The other side, we already kind of talked about it. Mac Wilson's okay. I like Chase Winovich more, but I feel like they lost this trade.
Cornerback Terence Mitchell signs a free agent contract that we don't really have any information on. Terence Mitchell, decent player.
Journeyman. He's been to a lot of teams, including the Chiefs for a 2-year stint.
Speaking of a journeyman, Devin McCourty's back with the Patriots. He didn't really find a home until he joined the Patriots team.
I was going to say, Devin McCourty has only played for the Patriots.
I'm thinking of his brother then.
Jason McCourty's traveled a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what
Devin McCourty has never left. I mean, if he was going to come back, I'm pretty sure the Patriots are going to sign him.
Yeah.
He's getting older. He's 34? Yep, 34.
Yeah.
They've been in the league 12 years. Like, he's had a good career. Whenever he wants to call it, he'll call it.
He's won many Super Bowls with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Kicker getting signed.
Kicker Nick Folk. 2-year, $5 million extension. not just a deal, but they extended him based on his current contract. So 2 point whatever guaranteed, max value 2.6 whatever. It's a above average kicker for 2.5 a year.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good deal.
He was a solid kicker this year, so deserved.
Yeah.
Now I'm not entirely sure what an ST is.
So Matt Slater is a special teamer. He does not have a role. He's technically a wide receiver, but he is a special teamer. He exists purely to be one of the best pure special team players in the league.
Interesting.
He is a special team specialist. He's been with the Patriots since 2008.
Damn.
He's a guy that they just like to keep around.
Long time then.
Yeah.
But hey, good for him, getting paid 2.6 mil. And then finalizing the AFC East is the butt
worst
fumble.
team in the AFC East.
The butt fumble. Joe Flacco's back.
Guess who's back?
1 year contract.
1 year deal.
He's what, his third year now
Back up here.
His third year with the Jets.
I think it might be 2 years. I think it's only been 2 years because he played for the Broncos not that long ago. Yeah, so he's going into his third year. He did have 2 years with the Jets, and he was with the Broncos.
A QB in his twilight that just needs to retire.
A QB who is here to collect some checks. He's trying to get a Chase Daniel deal, and try not to erase his already non-existent Hall of Fame case that he didn't have. So,
pretty much, yeah. Tevin Coleman signing a 1 year, $1.5 million, $650,000 guaranteed, and a max value of 2.3.
Good value.
Tevin Coleman.
He's a solid running back.
I think he's a very underrated running back if utilized correctly.
Braxton Berrios.
This is a good contract.
Deal.
This is a good contract.
Yeah. We joke about the Jets a lot. Honestly, I like what they've done this year.
Berrios has been one of their bright spots on the offense.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be Robbie Anderson, but here we are. Braxton Berrios is a pretty good wide receiver, though. Like, he's not a number one, a number two, but like if he doesn't have to be one of your top guys, like you're in a pretty good spot. And I think I said that a lot. And $6 million a year is a pretty good value, I would say, for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Tight end Tyler Conklin. This is a nice signing to bolster a Jets offense. I feel like they're with their new GM and their new coach, they're actually building a team here.
Which is very confusing because I was not sure that's what they were trying to do. Like, I didn't know if that was their original goal when they made the New York Jets.
True.
When like the group of people got together and were like, we're gonna buy a franchise.
I think this is one of the biggest deals.
That is
signing tight end CJ Uzama, formerly a Cincinnati Bengal.
Gonna say.
Had a really good year up until his injury.
Contracts that made my Bengals friend punch a wall.
Was this one?
Saw it. Was this one? He loves CJ Uzama.
3 year, $24 million. That's great value for Uzama.
Like, he is I mean, it's $8 million a year.
Yeah.
For a contributing tight end.
Absolutely.
At the very least. I don't think they're going to be competitive. I mean, it also obviously depends a lot on Zach Wilson's development. But, these are all signings that winning teams would make. I'm confused. Ryan.
I'm telling you right now, it's the head coach.
I was told
Robert Saleh is not a bad coach.
Jets weren't a real team.
But the thing is, they got Robert Saleh to go there.
I love Robert Saleh. I felt so bad when he signed there, but I think the more input that he has, the better.
I was going to say, if there's anyone that can turn the Jets into a decent team, it's Saleh. And Sure, his record in the first year wasn't fantastic, but there were some real bright spots of the team.
And like, did anyone blame Robert Saleh for a thing that happened last year?
No. No.
I didn't. I certainly didn't.
Everyone was like,
nah, worse than that race.
Everyone was like, nah, it's Zach Wilson, or nah, it's the defense.
Zach Wilson got injured a couple times. Like, there's a lot going on.
He looked okay.
I think
Zach Wilson looked okay.
I think Robert Saleh could finish with the same exact record this year, and I mean, still have a job next year. So
yeah,
if he did the exact same thing, he'd have a job for at least one more year. So.
Two signings that I think are big for the Jets. Two offensive line players. They re-signed Connor McDermott to a one-year deal that we don't have much information on, but a good deal. You know, keep the offensive line, and also bringing in offensive guard Laken Tomlinson to a 3-year, $40 million deal with a $27 million guarantee and a max value of 41.2. Laken Tomlinson is a pretty good offensive guard from the San Francisco 49ers. You know, he's up there in age. He's 30. But he's a pretty solid offensive lineman. Like, his career stats, like, let's see, his total sacks allowed.
So, I'm going to keep it brief with him. It's a great signing. It's a decent value for a very good guard.
Yeah, the only knock on him is his age, but still, he's a good
like
lineman.
He's an O-lineman. You know, it's not that, you know, age doesn't matter for them.
It's not a sexy pick, but it's a necessary.
And I think as we go further into this, despite not having any signings that like jump off the page when you look at it, I think they have had, for the amount of the as little money that they've spent and like the deals and bargains they've gotten, this has been one of the best free agent classes that we've seen.
Yeah, they've gotten some really good value here so far with what they've got. And we will continue to see some good value here as we move forward with the Jets.
Yes.
Nathan Shepard, he's okay. He's okay.
Right.
We don't really know much about his contract, so
it's hard to really judge it. Like, I mean, not a starter rotational piece.
Right.
Hasn't shown a ton, but hasn't shown too little.
Now, this next one, I think, is a good pickup for their defense. Cornerback DJ Reed to a 3-year, $33 million, so $11 million a season. Good contract. You probably know him more than any of us, since he was a former Seahawk.
DJ Reed is a good. He's not a number one. I would say he's a if he's your number two, you're happy.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what they're doing. I'll be honest, the Jets are not a team that I follow a ton.
I'm not super familiar with them.
So I want to take a look. I want to just take a quick peek at their. Okay, I just want to see a depth chart. Who they're expecting for their cornerback position. I mean, some guy named Brandon. Either way, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good signing. Same with this next guy. Jordan Whitehead agrees to a two-year, $14.5 million. Jordan Whitehead, really good safety. So that's a good one. And then back up
the other safety spot.
LaMarcus Joyner, backup player. So, and now we get into the final AFC teams. Our division, the AFC West.
Before we jump into the AFC West,
yes,
I think we should take a quick 5.
Sure.
I'm going to brew one more cup of coffee. It'll be number 5 today,
and I will grab another soda.
And then we can power through here. But we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll tackle everything with the AFC West, and then we'll at least go over the highlights for all of the NFC, because as my body deteriorates in my old age,
your old age.
Clearly 10:30 is starting to get too late. So we will be right back.
Yes, we will. Enjoy some more of the Chiefs' final 2 minutes.
Got to get to the 14. You got to chip on the edge with Ingram and have him come up on the inside. Some of these guys. Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo. Davis again. Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back to the end zone. There's Diggs. Caught it for the 2. Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone. He is. Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. And yet there's still plenty of time and 3 timeouts for the Bills, for Josh Allen to go right back and answer again. Could we possibly have 3 lead changes inside the last 2 minutes of a divisional playoff game? No way. No way? Maybe way. From the 19 in 17 seconds. Down the middle to the end zone, and there it is! Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis. Can't believe that defense got beaten up like that. Here's Hill. He's got a chance. Kicks. Got to throw it right away. Right now, someone in the middle. Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime. Looking to the end zone for the win. He caught it. Ball game. Chiefs to the championship game. Somehow comes out there and shows the world, I'm still here. Andy Reid talking to the refs. Got to get to the 14. You got to chip on the edge with Ingram and have him come up on the inside. Some of these guys. Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo. Davis again. Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back to the end zone. There's Diggs. Caught it for the 2. Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone. He is. Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. And yet there's still plenty of time and 3 timeouts for the Bills, for Josh Allen to go right back and answer again. Could we possibly have 3 lead changes inside the last 2 minutes of a divisional playoff game? No way. No way? Maybe way. From the 19 in 17 seconds. Down the middle to the end zone, and there it is! Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis. Can't believe that defense got beaten up like that. Here's Hill. He's got a chance. Kicks. Got to throw it right away. Right now, someone in the middle. Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime. Looking to the end zone for the win. He caught it. Ball game. Chiefs to the championship game. Somehow comes out there and shows the world, I'm still here. Andy Reid.
And he's going to take it to the 29, and now they're going to be set up for a field goal attempt by Carlson. Snap good, hold good, and Raiders in, Chargers out, Steelers in. And he's going to take it to the 29, and now they're going to be set up for a field goal attempt by Carlson. Snap good, hold good, and Raiders in, Chargers out, Steelers in.
Got to get to the 14. You got to chip on the edge with Ingram and have him come up on the inside. Some of these guys. Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo. Davis again. Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back to the end zone. There's Diggs. Caught it for the 2. Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone. He is. Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. And yet there's still plenty of time and 3 timeouts for the Bills, for Josh Allen to go right back and answer again. Could we possibly have 3 lead changes inside the last 2 minutes of a divisional playoff game? No. No way. No way? Maybe. Maybe way. From the 19 in 17 seconds. Down the middle to the end zone. And there it is. Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis. Can't believe that defense got beaten up like that. So this here's Hill. There's a chance. Kicks. They'll throw it right away, right now to someone in the middle. Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime. Looking to the end zone for the win. He caught it. Ball game. Chiefs to the championship game. Somehow comes out there.
All right, welcome back, guys. Matt has got some coffee. I've got a drink and some snacks. So,
Anticipated, so.
oh, sorry, I just unmuted you. My bad.
Oh, well, we got a later start than we ever anticipated, so.
Yeah.
Gonna have to power through tonight.
Alrighty. AFC West, and then we move on to some NFC stuff. First up is the Denver Broncos. Well, we all know the big news. Russell Wilson, which makes Matt's soul die a little bit. So yeah, we don't really have to talk too much about Russell Wilson, considering that we talked a lot about it last week. Offensive tackle Calvin Anderson re-signs to a 1-year deal. I'm pretty sure he's a backup. So,
Yeah.
you know. Defensive end Randy Gregory is a...
That is a big deal.
Big deal. Former Dallas Cowboy who got sick of Jerry Jones and said, I want to go somewhere that's not Dallas.
Yeah, he was the first guy to renege on one of these pre deals that were made.
Yeah. $70 million. He deserves it. He's a good defensive end.
They started tampering with like his guaranteed money and the structure of some things.
It was something about Jerry Jones's son came in last minute and made changes to the contract or something.
Yeah, they added like some forfeiture clauses that would like certain circumstances that would make him potentially like be able to void. Excuse me for a sec.
You're good.
I have to sneeze, but now it's not going to happen. But some stuff that would make it possible for them to void his contract, and he came in last minute.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have his
He was
contract.
offered a similar deal to with the Broncos, and he's like, "Hey, don't fuck with my money," you know.
And the Broncos like, okay.
So, the fact that the Broncos got this 5 years, $70 million, it's a lot of money, but he's a damn good player.
Yeah.
I think
he's worth it.
He's 29 years old. I do think this pulled them out of the Von Miller market because it was only really reported down to being the Bills and the Rams.
Yeah.
Who were interested in him at that point.
Which was sad for every Broncos fan. But DJ Jones, defensive tackle, signs a 3-year deal for $30 million. Includes a $20 million guarantee. DJ Jones, another solid defensive tackle.
Yeah, DJ Jones, solid player. He with the 49ers.
Yep.
For a hot minute there.
And did pretty good. Good.
He was a 6th round pick. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good 6th round pick by the 49ers there.
Yeah.
So 3 years, $30 million, 10 per.
I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal for the Broncos. As much as it pains me to say that it's a good deal for the Broncos.
Yeah. And then it doesn't say it, but I was going to say this guy's a re-sign.
Josie Jewell.
Josie Jewell.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he was on the team, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize this, that he started for them a lot in 2020, but
yeah.
Kind of more like a special teamer guy.
He's not terrible.
No, he's fine. He's not a starter, but
and then
not every player has to be.
Our lovely team,
Great.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Great.
Look at our amazing number of free agent signings. We've got 4 guys. 4.
Now we have some more that just aren't listed here that we'll just go through what are here, and then we can go over the other deals because these lists aren't.
That is true. Some came in late.
We could not also find one list that had everything.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we can't just have all the information in the same place. So we'll go over these, and then we'll go over a few more that happened as well.
Yep.
But if you want to start, because it's your dad.
Quarterback, the true GOAT, future Hall of Famer, 17-time MVP of the NFL. Quarterback Chad Henne re-signs a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I like that. I like that re-sign. Anything is possible.
$1 million.
There you go.
It's a nothing contract for a guy who's proven that he knows the system and can go win a big game if he has to. Chad Henne. I just love him. So fun fact, after that, the week after that playoff game, 2 days later, he and his wife ordered to-go food from the restaurant I was working at, and we got to run it out to him. That was fun.
Were you like, my friend Ryan is a huge fan. Can I get a...
I didn't know who you were. This is a year ago. I was happier then. No. But Chad Henne drives a Land Rover, by the way. Very nice one.
Yeah. This hasn't been updated because I believe we've signed a contract with Orlando Brown, correct?
Not that
or is he still on the franchise tag?
He's on the franchise tag.
I thought I saw something that he re-signed. I might be wrong.
No, not yet. He said he wasn't going to. He's not going to sign it until he figures out his agent situation, whether he's representing himself.
That's understandable.
Or if he's continuing. So
that's fair.
It's a wait and see. We got plenty of time.
This contract, the Frank Clark restructure.
So
it's better. I still don't think he should be on the team.
So here is the deal. Beforehand, you can go back a week ago and see the tape where I said Frank Clark was gone. I didn't think he would rework his deal, but apparently he does actually. He likes Kansas City. He wanted to stick around, and so it had to be a deal that made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
This move saves us about $11 million in cap space. this year. If we outright cut him right now, we would save $12 million. Well, not right now, but before the restructure, it would have saved $12 million. So, and then we'd have to pay money to replace him on the roster. So don't get me wrong, he's still getting paid a lot of money. We just kind of we threw out the old deal, reworked this one, so we're only paying $1 million. We are only losing out on $1 million.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think anyone disagrees.
I'm happy that he restructured because it benefits the team greatly.
I like Frank Clark. The issue with him has always been health, consistency.
Yes,
and the number.
That's my biggest
big
problem. That is my biggest problem with Frank Clark is consistency. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Frank Clark. I think he's a good player. But he just needs to put up the stats to show it.
Because, the thing, though, is that Frank Clark shows up in the big moments.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of pressures on the quarterback. He just can't finish the job.
And some statisticians will say, pressures are just as good as sacks. I don't think I go that far, but, because, a sack is a sack.
Yeah.
You might strip it. You might, there's a million things that can happen with a sack.
True.
A pressure still can get a completion. Sacks cannot, but anyway.
And then our big contract signing so far. I'll let you discuss this one.
Sure. I have a lot of thoughts on this contract. So, when I heard about this contract, I was...
We're talking about Justin Reed, the safety, by the way.
Justin Reed, yeah. I sometimes like to just go right into it. Justin Reed, it's a good contract. A little over $10 million a year.
Yep.
For 3 years, $20 million guaranteed. For a player who has every piece to be as impactful on a game-by-game basis as Tyrann Mathieu.
Okay, that's what I thought he was. He was a Texan. Okay.
Yes, he was a Texan. He and Tyrann played together for a year.
Yeah, he's a solid player.
The only issue is that his health has been a concern.
Yeah.
He only played 13 games last year. Only played 13 games the year before. First year in the league, he only played 12 games that he started. Only started 12 games. He played in 16, all 16. But and then he missed a game 2019. And it's not been huge injuries. This contract has the potential to be the best contract, and I'm not just saying this with bias. I think it has the potential to be the best contract given out up to this point in free agency. However,
I don't know if I would go that far.
It's assuming if he is, he's an ascending player in the league. He is an impactful player. You will feel his presence. He has a lot more speed and athleticism than Tyrann Mathieu did.
Yeah, he's definitely a ball hawk.
Yeah, but he still can hit pretty damn hard.
He's good in coverage, which is what we need.
He's good in coverage. He can play a little bit of box safety. I'd prefer you keep him over the top, but he is a mistake eraser in coverage.
Absolutely.
Which is something that
the Chiefs struggled with last year.
A secondary like ours needs, yeah. So I think he has the potential, because if he continues rising to his potential, he has the potential to be one of the best safeties in the league. Yeah. And this is a good deal if he is one of the best safeties in the league 3 years from now. But it's assuming he stays healthy and assuming he maximizes his skill set and fits in really well. So.
Yep. And that's really it for the Chiefs as of so far.
Unless you've
got some other stuff.
We have a few other ones that aren't listed that I want to just briefly mention.
Yeah, go for it.
None of them are huge. Michael Burton re-signed.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
So Michael Burton is back. Another big name, Jody Fortson, is back.
Hallelujah.
Let me pull up the remaining.
We can simp for our boy Jody Fortson for another season.
Yes, absolutely, and I will forever. That is a terrible, terrible list. I think. Here it is. We also, of course. DeAndre Baker was the other big name that we kept. DeAndre Baker, we gave him another minimal deal.
It's the one player I didn't want to come back.
It's the player I could have told you from the beginning that they were going to retain for the least amount of money.
I remember
not have any issue keeping him, and just hope he develops into his drafted stock.
Why don't the Chiefs watch our podcast? I said he wasn't good in Minnesota.
Not Mike Hughes. Not Mike Hughes.
Oh, yeah, it's Mike Hughes. Still, DeAndre Baker.
DeAndre Baker is a young player who has flashes of being a third cornerback.
That's a stretch.
He needs to be more consistent.
He needs to be good at one-on-ones. That's his biggest flaw.
He needs to not do this as much.
Run his
mouth. I mean, you kind of want a physical corner. Corner is a huge need for us right now. So I hope that I hope they're planning on making more moves.
I'm hoping they're not banking on the draft. But I mean, I could see us doing something in the draft. So, are there any others that you want to mention?
That is it for the Chiefs. So we can go ahead.
Everyone's least favorite team in the NFL, the Raiders.
The team in this division that is kind of the odd man out.
There's some big contracts here, and also a kind of stupid contract, or a kind of stupid move. Wouldn't be Mike McDaniel if there wasn't at least one stupid move.
Yeah. Brandon Bolden.
Yep.
Expected to sign with the Raiders. Hasn't actually signed with them yet, which is interesting.
It'd be funny if he backs out like last minute.
I was like, 'cause he hasn't officially signed anything.
It's interesting that they're looking at Brandon Bolden, considering they've got a good running back core.
They do. Brandon Bolden's kind of an odd addition. He's 32 years old. I didn't realize that. Yeah,
I mean, he could be a nice number 2, but you've got Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, you got Josh Jacobs. They still have what's his name? I actually really like him. He was in Miami for a minute.
Darkwa?
What was it?
No, I'm messing with you. Orleans Darkwa hasn't been in the league in a long time. Kenyon
Drake.
Kenyon
Drake.
Yeah.
And then they also have Peyton Barber, who I'm not as big of a fan of, but
he's
he's
player.
Still capable.
So it's like you've got 3 running backs. It's like the Chiefs. You have a deep running back locker.
Mm-hmm.
Why Brandon Bolden? I don't get it.
And one of them is like not a Derrick Henry or a Jonathan Taylor, but he's an A+ running back still.
Yeah,
he's not an S tier, but he's an A.
But you don't need it is the problem.
Brandon Bolden is like a weird place to put money in.
Yeah, like a running back needy team, I could see Brandon Bolden going to, but
we don't even know if he's going to sign with them.
That's true.
I guess expected, but it doesn't make sense.
If I was Brandon Bolden, I'd be like, you got 3 running backs. Why do you need me? Next up, Max Crosby signing a big contract.
Yes, 98, which is
for 4 years.
Funny, because 98 is Max Crosby's number, and they signed him for a $98.98 million contract extension.
With
very
95. Let me just point this out here. $95 million in new money and $53 million guaranteed.
Max Crosby is a fantastic player.
That is a steep contract.
Max Crosby looks like he beats women, but he's a good player. He is one of the most Raiders players this side of Jonathan Abram. However, this is a huge contract.
That is a huge deal.
No, he's one of their homegrown guys. They found him.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a dirty player, which I hate, but I can't deny that he is good.
He's
but almost $100 million with half of $100 million guaranteed that's gonna do numbers on your cap.
Yeah, which we aren't even done with all the cap ramifications of everything that happened. So that's a big number.
And here's a contract that I know you want to talk about.
Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is a old man who's somehow just so consistent in this league still.
Mm-hmm.
I compared him earlier favorably toward like a Terrell Suggs. Signed a $52.5 million contract over 3 years, which is a really big number for a guy his age. So I'm glad the Chiefs did not do that. But $34 million guaranteed. It's a move, but to counteract it, I consider these moves completely tied together. So we'll skip the second last one for now. The Yannick Ngakoue trade we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Makes this. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no need for both of them on the team, and Chandler Jones right now is better than Yannick Ngakoue.
I have a feeling right now that I know why Yannick Ngakoue was traded. Salary.
Yeah, it was a money move.
Yeah,
but then you turn around and pay one guy $25 million a year basically, and then you pay the other guy, fucking $18 million a year. Like, you're putting a lot of money in it. Yannick Ngakoue, I think, is getting paid $24 million if I remember correctly, which is a huge number. But you signed that deal just like a year ago. And now you're already having him hit the bricks,
and you're still gonna pay him too.
Yeah, it's just a confusing move altogether, and it just convinces me more and more that the Raiders franchise as a whole has no idea what they're doing.
It's fitting. Mark Davis doesn't know how to run their team.
Just lose, baby.
Yeah,
just lose.
And then their final move, kind of a smaller one, but Balil
I like
Nichols.
this deal.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Signs a two-year, $11 million deal with $9 million guaranteed. Defensive tackle. Good move.
Yeah, tell me if I'm off base. He's average to slightly above average.
Yeah, I'd say he's above average. You know,
he's
good
from Chicago.
I'll give you some credit, Raiders. You made one good move.
And I'm not saying the Max Crosby move's a bad one. It's just
expensive.
That's a hard number to give anyone outside of.
And the longtime lolcow of the AFC West, but now we can't really call them a lolcow anymore.
We still can. With the Chargers.
The thing is, even though the Chargers are going to have a good team next year, they're still not going to have any fans.
Will they win over 9 games?
And will they have more than 5?
That's always my Chargers question.
Will they have more than 20 fans in a stadium that are Chargers fans? But yeah, the LA Chargers, the big contract. Mike Williams, wide receiver, re-signs a 3-year, $60 million deal with $40 million fully guaranteed over the first 2 seasons. That is a real good move. Mike Williams, great wide receiver. Yeah, good move by the Chargers there.
So my question stemming off of this for you,
yes,
is so earlier in the show, with the Chris Godwin details announced.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what the Chris Godwin details were?
I do not remember off the top of my head.
It is 3 years, $60 million, fully guaranteed. Up to $40 million is fully guaranteed. It's the exact same contract as Mike Williams.
Okay.
I don't know about you, and don't get me wrong, Chris Godwin's coming off ACL tear, Achilles, something like that. But Mike Williams is 1 year older.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good number 2, but he's a substantially worse player. I would say not worse like he's bad, but like comparatively, like Chris Godwin is a number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah. Yep.
Mike Williams is a number 2. who's a good player. But
so you're saying that Chris Godwin deserves to be paid more,
or
that Mike
Williams doesn't deserve $20
less.
million a year. I think it's a little bit of both. I think Mike Williams, anything over like, for me, $16 million is pushing it. Now I'm also, I like Mike Williams, but for a number 2,
it's a
to
bit
pay
pricey.
$20 million.
It is pricey.
Who are you, Sammy Watkins?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mike Williams, I think, was a little overpaid. I mean,
probably.
He's a consistent player, so he'll make money. That's fine.
And then defensive tackle Austin Johnson expected to sign with the Chargers. Same for defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day is expected to sign a 3-year, $24 million deal with a $15 million fully guarantee. Both players, I've noticed a trend here with the Chargers. They're bolstering the D-line.
Yeah.
Which was their number one weakness last year, so they're at least addressing the concerns.
I was like, they have tackled this very aggressively. It is a... so Sebastian Joseph is a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I know the Rams were wanting to keep him.
He's a good run defensive lineman, which is what the Chargers really struggled with.
Hey, so Sebastian Joseph Day only got away because of money, like $12 million for. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a damn good player, but
no, he's getting $8 million a season, even less, because it's a 3-year deal.
Did I say 12? Yeah,
you
I
said
did
12.
say 12. I can do math. But I mean, $8 million a year.
Says the programmer.
It's not a. I don't do the math. The computer does. $8 million though is
that's a steal
for a really good defensive lineman.
I think the Chargers got a steal on him.
I hate this. I hate this whole thing so much because the Chargers did really good.
So I'm gonna say this. I think the reason why he decided to sign with the Chargers, or is expected to sign with the Chargers, they're in the same city. He doesn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, it works out for him. He doesn't have to move anywhere, and he still gets money.
Are you talking about Austin Johnson?
Oh no, Sebastian.
I was like, he's from New York. Yeah.
Sorry. No, he's. I think that's exactly it. He likes LA, wants to stay in LA, but he wasn't able to stay with the Rams, so he'll stay with the next best thing, which is the Chargers.
Khalil Mack, we already talked about.
Do we have to talk about this one?
We don't. It's a good deal short term. Long term, I think it kind of hamstrings him in the cap, but I mean by that time they're pretty much out of the contract anyway.
Oh hey, your buddy Six is messaging us in chat.
Oof. Hurt. Insulting my math skills. How dare you? J.C. Jackson is probably the one of the biggest signings we've covered.
And that is a massive deal.
He is a true number 1 cornerback. He's only 26 years old. They locked him up for 5 years, $82.5 million.
With a $40 million guarantee.
It's what he would command.
It's a guarantee $8 million a season, I believe, is if I'm doing the math right.
It's only 16.5 per, which for a number 1 wide receiver is a good deal. Or cornerback, I mean, rather. It's a really good deal.
And then a notable one, Josh Harris, long snapper.
4 years.
4 years.
$5.6 million.
$5.6 million for a long snapper.
Get your fucking bag, man. Do it. Lock him up.
And not to mention, he also has almost $2 million guaranteed.
He deserves.
Long snappers, man. Long snappers.
Listen, if there was one job I could have in the
Red.
NFL,
I'm here
it
with
would be a
Jimmy
long
Batista,
snapper.
Jim Trotter, and
You shush. Sorry, I was talking to the website. All right, let's breeze through. NFC North. I'm gonna cry.
We'll start do north, south, east, west again.
Good old Chicago Bears. Oh, hey, we got a new follower. Thank you, TheWits0303 for the follow.
Is it 6?
No, it's not.
Oh,
we
it's
got a new one.
That's his
Alt?
not wife.
Oh, that's his not wife. Okay. The NFC North, my second.
What's up, Whitney?
Let's see. I always call them the Chicago Bears because Chicago. You suck. Sorry, that's the Vikings fan in me. So, this is pretty much a division that I am very near and dear to, the NFC North. Offensive guard Lucas Patrick agrees to a 2-year, $8 million contract with a $4 million guarantee in year 1. So his first year, fully guaranteed. You know, Lucas Patrick, he's all right.
He was a starting center for the Packers for much of last year.
Yeah.
He would move to guard a few times.
Here's the big contract, okay? Defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi. What a name, and a pretty solid defensive tackle. Signs a 3-year, $40.5 million contract. I like Larry Ogunjobi, but I hate that he went with the Bears.
Yeah, I'm glad that he left the Bengals.
Yeah,
we can't have them getting too powerful. I know they just went to the Super Bowl, but I still.
But yes, I also just like saying Larry Ogunjobi because it's a fun name.
Ogunjobi. That is our third OG with a B in it.
More than third. It's like our
fourth
fifth
one actually. Fourth, fifth, something like that. But I mean, that's a good deal for a damn good number 1 defensive tackle, run stuffer, with some pass rush upside.
And so we'll skip over linebacker Nicholas Morrow because he's kind of a fringe player. But I mean, good for him getting a 1-year deal.
He's fine, yeah.
And then the most important signing the Bears have made. They re-signed long snapper Patrick Scales to
shout out all these long snappers, man. I love it.
A 1-year, $1.27 million veteran benefit deal with a maximum of $152,500 signing bonus and a total of $1.04 million guaranteed.
I am so happy for him.
And he's been in the league for quite a while, I believe. Yeah, look at this. He's 34.
And the other thing about him is his last name. He has one of the better names that we've covered.
His last name is Scales.
Yeah, he has one of the better names like that. That's a guy you want, snap at your punter.
Yeah. Now you ready? The poverty franchise, Detroit.
We can. I can already tell you, we can do this one super quick.
We can skip over it, is what you're saying?
Tim Boyle, backup.
Yep.
DJ Chark, 1 year, $10 million deal. He's trying to find a long-term home. Caleb Raymond, re-signed. Josh Reynolds, re-signed. 2-year deals, $12 million. It's nothing.
Yep.
Evan Brown, one of those swing interior linemen. All right, re-signed. Charles Harris, re-signed. 2 years, $14 million.
My favorite. I love this dude, Alex Anzalone, linebacker. I love that guy.
I do actually enjoy him.
And then
Tracy Walker.
Yep, Tracy Walker with a 3-year, $25 million deal.
That's an actual contract we can talk about briefly.
Yeah.
Tracy Walker's solid.
He's one of the bright spots in the Detroit defense.
It used to be Quandre Diggs, who is now. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good contract for both him and the team. One of those just makes sense. CJ Moore, longtime DB, or not even long. No. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of DJ.
Let's skip this team. Let's skip this next team. We don't need to talk about the Demons of Wisconsin.
We will.
Fine.
We'll do it brief.
Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers.
Aaron Rodgers details have come out since we last talked about the team.
$150.8 million over the next 3 years with $101 million fully guaranteed.
$100 million guaranteed.
Hot damn.
His 2022 salary drops by 18 mil, but the next
still,
2 years are expensive.
101.5 million guaranteed.
I'm pretty sure
over 3 years.
If I remember the last year, he's getting paid almost 62 million, if that's correct.
Yeah.
So there's that. Devontae Adams franchise tag. He will not play on the franchise tag though, so they have to get a deal done, or they need to trade him. And if they trade him, Aaron Rodgers will
throw a hissy fit,
do a cleanse on the owner's desk. So by the owners, I mean all of Green Bay.
We're gonna get another article that comes out on draft day by Ian Rappaport that says Aaron Rodgers is unhappy with the Packers.
Like, oh, here we go again.
Wide receiver Alan Lazard receiving second-round restricted free agent tender worth $3.986 million.
Second-round tender seems a little high for Alan Lazard, but good for him.
Yeah, I will say though, I do like Alan Lazard.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He just plays for the heathen of the Packers.
I'm just kind of surprised that he got a second-round tender of anything. But
you want to talk about these next two linebackers?
Yeah, these are two big linebacker money moves. Devondre Campbell, damn good player, 5 years, $50 million. That's honestly a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Preston Smith, 4 years, $52 million.
His brother said
could make up to 71.
His brother Preston, his brother Zedarius said, "Out of here."
Yeah. I was always more impressed with Zedarius, but also from a contract perspective, Zedarius was not sustainable.
No.
And Preston Smith is still a damn good player. So.
He is. Preston Smith, 4 year, $52.5 million. Smith gets more than $65 million over 5 years with a chance to make $71. Nice contract.
I'll let you cover this one entirely.
What, Preston Smith or the next
Our
team?
next boys.
I don't want to.
We already talked about Kirk.
You're gonna hear me go on a bit of a rant about Kirk, so I'm gonna ignore Kirk Cousins, as most Vikings fans do. Defensive lineman Harrison Phillips signs a 3-year, $19.5 million, including a $8.5 million season in year 1, and $13 million guaranteed overall. Honestly, the Harrison Phillips extension is a steal. Because Harrison Phillips, in my opinion, is a really good defensive lineman. He kind of struggles in the running lanes, but he's a really good pass rusher. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think $19.5 million is a really, really small price to pay for a guy of his talent.
And it's only 8.5 the first year.
Yeah. Linebacker Jordan Hicks agrees to a 2-year, $10 million contract with a max value of $12 million, including $6.5 million guaranteed. It's an upgrade at linebacker for sure. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with the Vikings. And then the most important position, they re-signed punter Jordan Berry. Contract details not yet known.
Most important outside of long snapper.
Yeah, outside of long snapper, yeah.
Because you know who touched the ball first on that play?
But yeah, Jordan Berry, I like Jordan Berry. He was a Steeler at one point, which I didn't like that, but he's a Viking now, so his sins are forgiven.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good punter.
NFC South. The Falcons making amazing moves with only 2 free agent signings as of this far. You want to cover both of these, Matt? Yeah.
Jake Matthews, 3-year extension. His dad was a Falcon way back in the day.
Yep.
He damn good offensive tackle. Did very well. Deserved the extension. It's a 3-year extension that also reduces his cap hit, which is huge for the Falcons right now.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players in the league, Younghoe Koo. 5-year, almost $25 million contract.
A nice contract for a kicker.
Do you remember a few years back when he literally won the Falcons all 5 games that they They only won 5 games that year.
I also
and it was
remember
100% because of him.
I also
and then
remember,
he should have won one more.
In 2020, I remember when he single-handedly gave the Kansas City Chiefs the first round bye.
It's true.
When he shanked,
shout out Young
when
Wei
he shanked the game-tying field goal.
God bless Young Wei Koo, man.
But yeah, no, he's a good kicker.
One of my favorite kickers.
Solid kicker. Deserves the money that he got. It's nice to see kickers getting that big deal.
Now, eventually, we're gonna hit the point where long snappers are receiving $5 million a year.
Dude, I wish.
We're in a good spot.
I want to see it.
We're gonna go over the Panthers super quick.
Let's re-sign O'Daniel to a $26 million contract for 1 year as a long snapper. Let's do it. Oh yeah, Carolina.
Dante Freeman.
Yep.
Dante Foreman. Yeah.
Yeah. Played well with Tennessee.
Brandon something. Yeah. Decent guard, making about $10 million a year.
Yeah, Austin Corbett. Yep. 20, almost $30 million for 3 years. Pretty good.
Marquise Haynes. Can't tell you I know much about him. Sean
no.
Chandler. Re-signed 1-year deal. Xavier Woods. Do you have anything to say about him?
Xavier Woods is a good signing. He's going to make your defensive backfield a lot better.
I didn't realize he's only 26.
Former Arizona Cardinal and Cleveland Brown. Kicker Zane Gonzalez agrees to a 2-year, $4.5 million deal.
He is a above average kicker.
He's the definition of a Vikings kicker.
Yeah.
He plays well, but not in the clutch.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints. You ready to see their one move?
So the other thing is that in the background, the Saints have reworked almost every contract on the team.
That is true.
That is not going to be listed here for whatever reason. But they did sign Marcus May. With
a good
what
contract.
little money they somehow made to make.
And it's a good deal. 3-year, $28.5 million. Good player.
And like Marcus May single-handedly kept the Jets secondary together. He honestly enabled Jamal Adams to do what he did. That got him the contract and all that. So Marcus May is a good player, good fit in the Saints. Where's Tyrann Mathieu going to sign now? No one knows.
The Jets.
God, poor guy.
Tampa. Do we have to?
Tom Brady's coming out of retirement. Shaq Mason was traded from the Patriots. This is a move that doesn't make any sense. Shaq Mason is a damn good guard. He is 28 years old. He is under contract. He was traded for a 5th-round pick. I think Bill got drunk.
He got drunk and made too many bad phone calls.
He answered the phone, and the Buccaneers are like, "Hey, what would it take to get Shaq Mason?"
He's like, nothing.
He sneezed, and they said, 5th-round pick, and he said, and then they just sent in the paperwork, and they sent Shaq Mason.
Him saying is more than he says in a post-game press conference.
We're on to Cincinnati. So this is really cool. Russell Gage, that's a good signing.
Yep.
They don't have numbers on it yet, but Russell Gage for that. I mean, for the team, he's a really good receiver.
One of the best moves they've made, re-signing wide receiver Chris Godwin.
We talked about it.
We've talked
not
about him.
that long ago.
Brashad Perryman, another good player.
New deal.
Offensive guard Aaron Stinney.
Don't know him.
He's a backup.
Ryan Jensen's a good fucking deal.
I'm so sad. I wanted him to test free agency. Ryan Jensen, 3 years, $39 million with a $23 million guarantee.
And Carlton Davis.
Nice deal. Carlton Davis, another 3-year contract. 3 years, $45 million, and a $30 million guarantee. Yeah, he's a really, really good defensive back.
Carlton Davis deserves every penny of that. I was really hoping he'd be able to hit free agency, but here we are.
Up next, NFC East. Starting off with America's team, the Cowgirls.
Michael Gallup.
A good
That's a big
extension.
contract.
Good extension.
It's a good one, though. He's a damn good player.
Yeah.
I hoped he was going to hit free agency, but alas.
So he re-signs to a 5-year, $57.5 million deal with a $23 million guarantee and a max value of $62.5 million, and it also includes a $10 million signing bonus.
So really, at the end of the day, this is like an $8 million per year deal,
Essentially.
which is a great value for Michael Gallup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I like that move.
We,
I mean,
briefly,
good for
we
him.
briefly mentioned this next guy
Dalton Schultz.
getting the franchise tag.
Three tight ends getting the franchise tag in the same year is kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
I feel like none of them are going to play on it. They just need more time to negotiate. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz is going to get paid
For sure.
DeMarcus Lawrence, 3-year, $40 million.
I hate that DeMarcus
Remember
Lawrence
it.
is getting extended because I like DeMarcus Lawrence. He's the one player on Dallas that I actually like.
He's a good player. I'm glad he's getting some more money.
Okay, never mind. There's 2 players I like on this team, and we'll get to them next. You already know who I'm talking about. Up next, safety Malik Hooker re-signs to a 2-year, $8 million deal. He's a solid safety.
Yeah, I mean, for a starter, four per year.
Yeah.
He's only 25.
And then my second favorite player on the Cowboys, long snapper Jake McQuaid re-signs a 1-year deal worth the veteran minimum, which
I hate this deal.
I don't even know what the veteran minimum is for a long snapper. I'm gonna look. Long snapper veteran minimum.
So it depends on how many years he's been in the league. He has been in the league 11 years.
Okay, so it says here the veteran minimum. He will be paid $1.12 million. Okay, that's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Get your bag, man. Jake, who's your agent? Call me. Set it up. We'll set something up. We'll renegotiate.
His agent is Jake from State Farm.
Jake, you're worth more than that. Come on, man.
And the lolcows of the NFC East, the New York
Tyrod
Giants.
Taylor coming in,
go ahead.
2-year deal. Coming in to
Journeyman-
challenge Daniel Jones for that starting job.
Journeyman quarterback. I want to see Tyrod Taylor take the starting QB position because I think he's an underrated
Tyrod Taylor
quarterback.
deserves so much better.
He gets screwed in Houston with injury. He gets screwed in LA. He gets screwed in Cleveland.
He got
gets
screwed in Baltimore.
Buffalo, and in Baltimore.
He literally got stabbed. I don't think we talk about it enough. He literally got stabbed in Los Angeles.
He got
Which,
stabbed
don't get
by
me
the
wrong.
Chargers medical staff.
Getting stabbed in Los Angeles is not the most uncommon thing, but
It's true.
come on,
on,
man.
I mean, the thing is,
He should have fucking sued that guy because
we could have. I mean, we can thank but also hate Tyrod Taylor because he did spur the start
Herbert.
of Justin Herbert's career. Just like he also started Baker Mayfield's career as well with the Browns.
Yeah, he did.
And because of Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo, they went and drafted Josh Allen. It was a few years later, but still. And then I really thought that he would land I thought that he was going to get an extension with Houston, but I can't deny Davis Mills looked good. Davis Mills looked a solid starter. I hope to God, Tyrod, that you can finally find a place to stay here in New York. Please make the Giants a decent team. Because I am rooting for you. I do not want to see you get screwed again. Because there's quarterbacks like Josh McCown and guys like them who are longtime journeyman quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor has yet to finish a starting season since Buffalo. as a starting quarterback. That's tragic.
I just wish Tyrod Taylor the best. That's all I can do at this point.
I want to see Tyrod Taylor succeed. Like, please, Tyrod. Like, he's one of those guys that no matter what, he's gonna land a job as a backup.
Yeah, and he deserves it. Like we mentioned, it's just the worst circumstances. Like, it should be a sitcom. It's just a comedy of errors. His NFL career has been a comedy of errors.
It really
and
has.
He's been I don't know. He's been a talented player who just can't get it together with everyone.
Yeah. And up next, a former Chiefs tight end. He played with us. He played with us for a season.
Ricky Seals-Jones is a
injured for the
fast,
entire
talented
season.
man who just can't stick anywhere.
I mean, maybe he can be better than Evan Ingram.
Maybe.
And then two offensive linemen. Offensive lineman John Feliciano. And Feliciano, that's the word. And then Mark Glowinski agrees to a 3-year, $20 million contract with an $11.4 million guarantee.
I like him. He was a guard in Indianapolis.
I mean, offensive line has been a concern for the Giants, so good to see them actually addressing those concerns.
For a bit of his career. He also used to be at the Seahawks way back, obviously on the other side of the ball, but Legion of Boom days.
He was a defensive lineman?
No, he's on the other side of the ball at the Legion of Boom, but no, he's a good player. I'm happy to see him doing well.
The Philadelphia Stabbies is up next.
This one will be very quick.
Yep, very.
Greg Ward.
There's only maybe one contract on here, well, maybe two, that's worth talking about.
I think there's
two.
Two-ish. Jason Kelce got a 1-year, $14 million deal.
I'm always gonna simp over Jason Kelce because he's the older brother of Travis, and he helped Travis correct himself during his college days and turned him into the person he is now. So, Jason Kelce, you are the best.
We have sound. So I don't know what you said, but Jason Kelce.
I basically said Jason Kelce. We can thank him for everything that he did with Travis Kelce, basically helping him write his life in Cincy at the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it's the beard. I mean, come on. Jason Kelce has one of the most magnificent beards aside from Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's absolutely true. He's just gonna get a 1-year contract from Philadelphia for the rest of his career. That's all he wants to hang it up.
I mean,
which could be
I was gonna say he's getting up there in age though, so
he has considered retirement like 2 off seasons in a row, so he's probably done after this. But
although maybe
Hassan Reddick is a great signing though.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick, good signing. 3 years, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed. Or sorry, $45 million. I don't know why I said 35.
He's someone I wanted the Chiefs to get.
And a max value of almost $50 million. So yeah, Hassan Reddick, good player.
And then Andre.
Yeah, Andre Chacher.
I don't know what you do, but you do it well enough to get a contract.
Hey, the Washington Commies.
Carson Wentz. We talked about his contract or his situation last week.
This whole trade is a joke.
It's a fucking joke.
It's a joke.
Washington continues to prove why it's a poverty franchise. And
Washington continues to prove why Dan Snyder is the laughingstock of the NFL.
He makes Dean Spanos look good.
Oh, don't ever say that.
He makes Shad Khan look good.
Okay, there you go. Dean Spanos is always the worst. J.D. McKissick.
Other contracts. We talked about it earlier.
I'm happy for McKissick. I like J.D. McKissick.
I'm surprised he renagged.
It's interesting because I think Washington has a good dual back format with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. They've got a good dual front with their running back core. And then defensive back, Bobby McCain re-signs a 2-year, $11 million. I forgot to say McKissick 2-year, $7 million. bit of a cheap deal, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm surprised he didn't go to the Bills.
Yeah.
Unless he really thought he wasn't going to get used, but like his skill set would have fit well.
I mean, I guess he would have been competing with Devin Singletary, so I guess he just didn't want to really split reps.
And then Bobby McCain, not an amazing player, but he is a player.
He's a player. And our final division, the NFC West, Matt's division.
Right.
And the Seahawks are the final team that we'll talk about as well.
Yeah. And I don't have much to say about what they've done so far.
So we'll start with the Cardinals. Some pretty decent signings here and moves. They re-signed Colt McCoy to a 2-year deal. Surprisingly, Colt McCoy looked pretty dang and good as a backup with Arizona. So, okay, interesting.
Starter this year and next year, while they figure out what to do about Kyler Murray. I'm partially kidding.
Yeah. James Conner signed to a 3-year, $21 million extension that includes $16 million over the first 2 years.
3 years to me seems like a long commitment to him, but he is only 26. So,
I mean, if he can continue to play like he did last year, I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to hit your horse into the late 20s with a running back.
Yeah.
Especially one with like a bruiser style like he has.
Look at Frank Gore though. Frank Gore is the father of
Frank Gore will never die.
He won't. Chiefs need to sign. Chiefs are going to sign Frank Gore to a 1-year deal, confirmed.
Zach Ertz got a deal done.
Yep,
that's huge. 3 years, $31 million, absolutely worth it. $17.5 million guaranteed.
I like them
do
in
that
Philly.
Every day of the year.
You know, like them in Philly.
Max Williams is a pretty good backup tight end. 1-year deal, no details. Jeff Gladney, 2-year deal, no details. The other two,
was he?
Not familiar.
No, he was a Viking. Yeah, he was a Viking, wasn't he?
I was like, he was with you guys, wasn't he?
Was he a Viking or Detroit?
He was with you guys.
He was a Viking. Gladney, honestly, Arizona, maybe you can do something with him. He was, in my opinion, a bust with the Vikings. He did not live up to the first-round pick that the Vikings spent on him. He wasn't worth it. The LA Rams. Really only 2 moves for the Rams. Offensive tackle Joe Noteboom, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Resigns to a 3-year, $40 million deal, $25 million guarantee, and a max value of $47.5.
I don't know much about him, but he has only started 2 games last year, 9 games the year before, and 6 games the year before. He seems to be injury prone.
Yeah, so this is a big contract for a guy who struggles with injury. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
So it'll be interesting for sure.
If he can stay healthy, I think it's a good contract.
It's just a weird. I don't know. I assume they see more than we do. So
yeah, and then the Rams extended or re-signed center Brian Allen to a 3-year deal, which we don't know details of.
Makes sense.
The 49ers running back Jamichael Hasty. That's how you say it. Jamichael Hasty. Signs to a 1-year extension. We don't know about it. Matt, I will let you take the next one.
Charvarius got his bag. I am very happy for him.
He certainly did. Maybe too much.
We were never going to pay him that. I think the 49ers, I mentioned 2 teams last week that I thought he would go to. It was either the Jacksonville Jaguars, in which case I would pray for his soul.
Yep. Or
the 49ers, where I think they would actually utilize him.
And you were correct.
Now, I am really happy that it was the 49ers and that he got paid.
He got a 3-year, $40.5 million deal, by the way.
Anything under $10 million, I would have taken him back for us. But that was clearly not going to happen. He had a big market coming in.
I mean, we maybe could have gotten him on a 1-year, like $10 million deal, but
somehow he's like the number 3 corner coming into this free agency,
which is
with like Carlton Davis and stuff.
was a bit shocking to me that he was number 3 because, I mean,
Right.
I made my opinions on him felt last
He
week.
got the bag. I'm just happy for him. I'm gonna go very briefly over the Seahawks. You can chime in with what you got, but like
Go for
a
it.
lot
Yeah.
of these are re-signings and
Here's
then
your-
the Drew Lock trade.
The number one most important move the Seahawks made, Drew Lock.
Yeah, so the Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. If you want to know our opinion on it, go to last week.
Yeah.
I like all of these players in varying amounts.
Drew Lock is not a starter though.
Drew Lock, this is not a good situation for him to be in.
Yeah, no. At least you got 2 good players out of it. Shelby Harris and Noah Fant.
Shelby Harris is a bit old, but
He's a bit old, but still can play.
and perhaps 6/Wit would have more information or want to talk about that more. But Will Dissly, I love Will Dissly. $8 million a year for a number 2 tight end. It seems like a little bit of much, but
I mean,
as long as they use him.
I would say get the money if you can.
I mean, they like to do 12 personnel, which is like the 2 tight ends.
I believe
to
wasn't this guy a former Chief, offensive center Austin Blythe? Wasn't he a Chief?
Austin Blythe, yes, he played for the Chiefs. He signed a deal earlier today with the Seahawks. He was our center. We signed him before we drafted Kareem Humphrey. He never started a game.
Yeah, he kind of was a bit rough.
But I like him, and I think honestly it helps fill a need.
Yeah.
Invest in more O-line, please, Seahawks. Thank you, love Matt. Also a quarterback.
Your next boy to talk about, defensive tackle Al Woods.
Al Woods, 2 years, $9 million. He's fine. Rotational piece.
Now, what
Nothing
about
big.
former Chargers player Uchenna Nwosu?
I'll be honest.
Or actually, no, he's a Jaguar. No, Charger. Okay, yeah, no, Charger.
He was a Charger, yeah. He's in our division. He started 15 games last year, and I have no idea who he is. So
He was an outside linebacker. I'll say that.
yeah,
That's a.
I found that out. I found that out when you told me.
Bit of a steep contract for Nwosu. Not gonna lie.
There must be something that they like, but I mean, I don't.
2-year, $20 million with $10.5 million guarantee. Ugh. And I can tell you right now, this next player, not gonna do a damn thing for you.
Artie
Burns, defensive back, signs a 1-year, $2 million deal. He did nothing for the last 2 seasons with the Steelers. I pray for your defensive back core.
1 year, $2 million. As long as he doesn't see the field much, like coming in occasionally is fine.
He's gonna be a journeyman because he struggled in the last couple years with Pittsburgh. He looked great to start, but fell off a cliff.
Sidney Jones, another cheap contract. Like these are going to be like their number 3, number 4. They're going to figure that out in training camp.
Yep.
I mean, again, he was kind of a bust. A lot of upside, but never really developed in the league.
Yeah.
And the deal that I'm just thrilled about, Quandre Diggs.
I was going to
3
say,
years,
pretty much the
$40
biggest
million.
deal.
It's the only, like, when I thought about their offseason, I'm like, this is the bright spot. This is the thing that, like, actually makes me happy. And it's Quandre Diggs getting the money he deserves. That secondary is going to be good for a number of years.
Seahawks are going to draft
Hopefully
Kenny
there's
Pickett.
another. Hopefully there's a rest of the team to go with it. And I like a quick breakdown of where I am right now. Quarterback,
Love-hate
angry.
relationship.
Quarterback angry, offensive line angry, tight ends ecstatic, wide receivers could use one more, but pretty happy.
I mean, yeah.
Running back room needs improvement, but like that's not a.
You got Chris Carson.
I don't. Meh.
He's okay.
Defensive line needed some help.
Defensive backs need help too. Other than like
With
safety.
with Bobby Wagner gone, the linebacking core worries me.
Oh yeah.
Secondary outside of the safeties worries me. Safeties, I'm thrilled. So, I mean, again, we have I think the holes are very clear in Seattle, and I think they could absolutely improve in those spots, and they have the picks to do it. It's just that they don't have the most important spot. They don't have the most important spot figured out. So
Yeah.
but that being said, it's been a pretty eventful
For sure.
free agency.
We're
excited to
only
see
a
as
few
it
days.
develops.
I was gonna say we're only a few days into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is
probably-
also just the first wave.
We're probably gonna talk more about some big free agent signings next week. But do we want to also potentially cover something else next week as well?
Somewhat. I'm sorry, you kind of cut out on my end.
Do we also want to maybe cover some other stuff as well aside from free agency stuff next week?
You keep cutting out. You're just so it's going into the stream just fine. I noticed earlier, but you cut out sometimes in Discord for me.
Yeah, Discord.
I assume you said,
a bit.
do you want to
funky.
talk about March Madness? Is what I'm guessing.
I mean, we can, yeah.
I haven't been following it yet, but
Oh come on, you gotta make your bracket, man.
I know I have a few people wanting me to make
The
brackets with
Kansas
them,
Jayhawks won the Big 12.
and they're not gonna make it to the Final Four. Anyway,
We're gonna be eliminated by a 16 seed in the first round.
Yeah. per tradition. So what did you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said we can possibly discuss some other topics next week as well as free agency.
Yeah, we have a few topics lined up. I want to do some pre-draft stuff here in early April, so we can wait a little bit on that, so we get a little bit closer. But yeah, we can broach some different topics next week.
Plus, we're getting closer to the USFL. The official start of the USFL is coming up soon.
Yes, I'm excited. I cannot wait to see.
When is that?
Paxton
When does
Lynch
this start? When does the USFL start? April 16th.
April 16th.
My birthday!
Congratulations, 1 month from today. Exciting.
Their first game is going to be on my birthday. That's going to be the best 21st birthday ever.
But
So, yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to those who rated us earlier today. Thank you to Six for dropping in, as well as Six's partner, lady friend.
Partner in crime.
Yeah. So yeah, do we want to go raid? Is KGP still alive?
They are.
Let's go raid them.
Let's go on a nice little journey. Thank you guys for hanging out.
/raid KIGP. Alright, in 8 seconds, we're going to go raid these boys and show them the love from the Refball Sports Podcast. And make sure to laugh at Reed.
Boys support boys.
Yeah, make sure you harass Reed as tradition. So yeah, let's go give him a raid. There we go. Raided.
Which I totally forgot was coming out.
Alrighty.